Not live and not at the Tokyo Game Show like everyone else, it's a Slice of Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Moonlight150, and this is a Slice of Gaming podcast, episode 19 for September 22nd, 2023. And we'd like to thank you for giving a slice of your time to a Slice of Gaming podcast. Be sure to like, follow, and comment on all of our platforms such as YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Audible. And make sure to also follow us on Twitter at A Slice of Gaming. We got a lot of Xbox leaks, Tokyo Game Show stuff, and other news to get through here. Might be a long episode, might be not, depending on how much we want to bicker about these leaks. So we're going to get right onto it with the introductions. So we can't get him to leave New Vegas. It's Wolf.
Hey, what's up?
Wandering around naked on the beaches of Hawaii, it's Fusion.
How's it going?
Confirmed to be an Xbox exclusive, it's Dark.
Hey, how's it going?
And taking up space at Hotel Barcelona, it's Cyber.
Howdy, howdy.
And yeah, so I think we're just going to move right on to the news. We have no housekeeping, except for we do want to plug the second episode of our new show, Slice of Anime, did premiere a couple days ago. And once again, that's gotten some good views already, which I'll thank you all for tuning in if you're also watching this show along with that. So thanks for checking out all of our content. But we will now be moving on to the news with Wolf.
Yeah, we got a pretty interesting news week, to say the least. A lot of the news happened in the first half of the week, so we're late to the party, but that's how we usually do things around here. The first big thing is obviously the Xbox leak. I think everyone knew that this was going to be the big thing we would talk about. I got this... Wario 64 kind of organized everything like when it was happening, so I'm going to go off him, but there's a lot of extra stuff that I want to point out as well. But we'll start with the Wario 64 thing. Actually, first, I'm going to ask everyone here, where were you when the Xbox leak happened?
Where were we?
I was in the party with you. We were live with it.
Yeah, we were just chilling on Discord. Why were we on Discord that night?
Post Slice
it was post.
After we were recording Slice of Anime. That's right.
Yeah, and then we got to talk about video games finally. Cyber, where were you when the great Xbox leak happened?
I was about to go to sleep, and I thought about, checking Twitter for one last time that day, and then, whoa, okay,
mistake
now
was
go to
made.
sleep. Yep.
Well, let's dive into these leaks. I think the first thing I want to go into is this Xbox Series X refresh, mid-gen info, this whole thing. So we basically got this photo of what would be the Xbox Series X refresh. I'm going to try to read everything on here. The most powerful Xbox ever, now adorably all digital. Brooklyn will deliver 4K Gen 9 console gaming with more internal storage, faster Wi-Fi, reduced power, a more immersive controller, and a beautiful redesign that elevates the all-digital experience of the Xbox ecosystem. Beautiful and innovative new design, more internal storage for games, 2 terabytes, USB-C front port with power delivery, all new controller, same great price, $499. All new South Bridge to modernize I/O and sustainability efforts. Wi-Fi 6E radio for better. I'll be honest, I don't know anything about this stuff. Cyber, I'm definitely gonna ask you about this stuff because I know you're the tech guy. Wi-Fi 6E radio for better throughput, latency, and interference mitigation. BT 5.2 radio for improved accessory experiences. 6nm die shrink for improved efficiency. I think there's a lot of typos in this, actually. Improved sustainability story. Reduced PSU power by 15%. New low power standby mode is 20% of current XSS standby mode. Increased use of PCR in housing above 30% and 100% recyclable packaging. A lot of words, but I think it's clear to say like this is very much Xbox's all digital Xbox Series X. They have the Series S, which is also all digital, but this is going to be basically the Series X, but all digital with other little bonuses for the exact same price as the Series X. So that's interesting in and of itself. Cyber, I'm actually going to divert right to you. Like, any thoughts on like a lot of this technical stuff that I butchered very severely?
Yeah, so from what I can tell, it just makes sense, right? It's the technology that they use on these consoles or PCs or whatever. It grows, right? It evolves, and that usually means that it shrinks. So that 6 nanometer, the 6 nm metric that you read there.
Nanometer.
Yep.
Okay, now I just feel dumb.
So it was not a typo, but also it just means that they shrunk the processor. So on a when people talk about yields and stuff like that, so they have a big waffle, as they call it, of processor chipsets or a chip, and if you shrink your core size, then you can have more on that one big waffle. So that's it just happens, right? So this stuff reduces cost and increases yield, and it makes sense that they would do this. So this is basically a slim, right? If you go back, for example, to the PS3 or PS2 era, we had the PS2, PS3 Fat, and by the end of the generation, they had the PS3, PS2 Slim, which were significantly smaller, but also the same capabilities. This is basically the same thing. And when it comes to the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi stuff, also just catching up with times. And yeah, you honestly won't really care about Wi-Fi 6E unless you bought a very expensive router configuration within the last year or so. So
Interesting.
mostly marketing terms for now, but
Future-proofing, I
also
bet.
yeah, future proofing. I think that's the biggest thing there. But yeah,
Interesting
I
thing
think
you say. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, yeah, I was just gonna finish up saying it's interesting stuff, but also it's pretty much expected and it makes sense. It's a uh, not very exciting upgrade path in my opinion because it just makes sense.
Yeah, I think one interesting thing you said about that is like kind of it very much is like the slim model of like a PS3 Slim, PS2 Slim, like the 360e. But I think something that was very common with a lot of slim consoles is the reduced price. I mean, do you have any thoughts, Dark, about like the fact that this is very much mid-gen console refresh without the reduced price? Like, is that anything to think about?
I mean, from what we've seen, I think it also said that there's like 2 terabytes of storage with this, unless I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
Yeah, it's 2 terabytes.
Yeah, that itself is like a really good fucking deal for the same price as the next. I just like that it's just more options for people. So I don't think it's anything too crazy to think about. It's literally just a Series X, just all digital. So it's just a more options, more preferences. That's about it.
Yeah, because besides it being slightly slimmer, it's not any more powerful, right?
It's
Exactly the
slightly
same, more or
powerful,
less.
right?
No, it'll
No,
be
it's
the
exactly the same.
No, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
which is where I'm going to push back personally.
Oh,
This is
here we
cool.
go.
This is cool for the option, but if you're going to release a console like this already, I don't understand why, and call it a mid-gen refresh. I don't understand why you're at least upgrading in power somewhere, because the PS5 Pro is going to happen, and it's going to come out maybe around the same time as this system. And when Sony is showcasing this new system and what the new system can do with all these powerful upgrades, it's just going to make this console be like, oh, it's just another digital Xbox Series X. Cool. Like this seems
Yeah.
more of like,
Yeah, this
I
just
wouldn't
seems
even
more like here's another option instead of.
yes.
Did they actually call this a mid-gen refresh, or is that just kind of what
That's the thing.
the Twitter
It's
called
kinda-
it?
It looks like a Brooklyn Xbox Series X refresh. That's what it says on the document.
Okay, so it does they
Series
mean
X refresh.
I mean refresh could just mean here's a slightly better thing of what we already have. It's like
Yeah.
tighter knit or whatever without it actually being more powerful.
To push back
I
on your
will
point,
say,
Fusion, I don't see them being like
go ahead.
a mid-gen refresh that's like better. Like you know how like there was the PS4 Slim and the what the fuck was the shit the Xbox had?
Pro.
That for the Xbox.
Or
Oh, no.
Xbox One X.
Yeah.
God
One
Yeah,
bless
I don't
them.
see that happening this generation because this generation is already like ridiculous as it is. So it doesn't really make sense, in my opinion at least, to go for that. I'd rather just them work on the next console, whatever the fuck it'll be. The Xbox 720 for real.
Oh, we know about the next console. We'll get into that later, but interesting stuff in that regard. I will say the most interesting thing to me personally, this is kind of just something I accepted is going to happen. It's all digital.
Yeah.
And I mean, less options. I'll always push back. I know the all digital future is coming. I'm always going to push back. I'm going to be dragging it. You're dragging me there. I'm dragging it, kicking and screaming. That's all I'll say.
You
But
can hear
at the end
Benj
of
in the background, and even though he's not here.
That's why I'm very happy he wasn't here today. But I'm kidding. But I mean, just in general, like it's clear. Like me and Fusion talk a lot about this, where it's like less options overall is just worse. Like it's understandable that the digital future is going to happen. It's going to be something that's inevitable. It's better for the company specifically. But I always say my pushback is always when you want preservation, when you want games to like really come back. This is a situation where I think going all digital has its pros for sure. I think there's a lot of pros to digital marketplaces, but just having the option to physical media is always important, at least in my opinion. But
It's like
there's not much we can do to stop him.
In this situation, like what
Right.
would a physical version of this be? There's more storage in the base console.
Well, I'm
extra
saying
terabyte?
it very much is clear. Xbox wants to push for the all digital future more than any other.
That's true as well.
Game
I'll get into
Pass,
that later.
it's gonna be they're just gonna be marketed as just
Xbox
here's your
quite
Game
literally
Pass,
is Game Pass.
here's your Game Pass
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
they
wanted
tried.
a Game Pass.
They kind of tried in 2013 with the whole, not really all digital, but like the whole your Xbox
The
is like,
DRM.
yeah, the DRM stuff, and like they pushed that whole digital thing. I don't think maybe we were ready. I don't think gaming was ready for it yet, and now like a decade later, gaming is
people are
kind of
gonna
like
be
we're
in for
going
it.
into it. You know what I mean? So like,
Right.
actually,
Mhm.
Xbox loves to get ahead of the curve on things, and then people hate it, and then 10 years later, another company does it, and they're like, "Yeah, we're finally ready for this." Like Xbox does that nonstop. So I don't know.
That's another thing.
So
Since we kind of brought it up. Sorry for cutting you off.
Go ahead.
Xbox really is just like, I don't really know how to explain this point properly, but it feels like Xbox, like they're trying to make Game Pass Xbox, if that makes sense. And I'm not
Oh, yeah,
against this.
no,
I
I
like
get
the idea of it, but like they're becoming more of like a Netflix than
They want
like,
to become
I
a
see them-
service rather than a
yeah. They're trying to
console
get this from
maker.
like other, like they gotta put this shit on PlayStation. I feel like that's their big goal overall, and they just want to be everywhere. But yeah, that's
Yeah, of course.
mainly what it is.
They want to be on every possible device, screen, TV, anything that has a screen on it. Like they want
Because
to
they
be on
realize probably that making games and distributing them digitally and all that is just more profitable than being a console manufacturer. The only reason they're
yeah.
making the consoles right now is because that's how you get these services to the consumers. Once they can jump the hurdle of be like, okay, it's on your TV, it's in your PlayStation, it's in your Switch 3 and all this. They're probably going to start looking at like, okay, we're the service now. We're just going to be a service company. Like we're going to make
Exactly.
games. We have all these studios that we're going to make games, and we can just cut the Xbox out. Like we're going to deliver these games. Like TVs at that point will probably be able to run just as good as consoles. You're just going to have your Game Pass app on your TV.
I hate
And
the
I'm sure they will
future.
still keep making consoles because they like with the Series S, for example, it's a really good entry level.
Yeah,
Like, price
they'll
point,
probably
they're
keep
gonna
up
keep
like the
doing that.
budget level thing.
Just to get people into it.
They're gonna keep console like manufacture at least for a couple more generations, I'd say. It's just interesting to think about. I do want to talk about this controller. So it's a new Xbox
Graphic.
controller with it has gyro, it has lift to wake. This thing is hideous. I hate it so much. I don't know how you guys feel about this thing.
It's the opposite of how not to do like the
The
two-tone.
ugliest fucking controller I've ever seen.
Why?
Bro.
Why is the black
Why is it
only on
two-tone?
like the holes? Like it just doesn't make sense. Like, at least like do like half of this controller or something. I don't get it.
It's like what the opposite of the DualSense is. Like, that's exactly what it is.
I don't understand why they didn't
So
just make it like all black or all white.
Yeah, like
It's so simple.
It
Or if
looks
you're gonna
like a
make it like
knockoff, like
two-tone,
Nintendo
just
Switch
make
Pro
it white in the
controller.
front and black in the back, or something like that.
it's such a weird controller.
Well,
Good thing it's a concept
just
phase
to-
and they can change this. Do not release this.
I pray.
well, just to put
mean,
in my 2 cents, I actually think it looks okay. But yeah. So
Well, at the end of the
I think
day, I
it
mean,
looks okay.
I have the Starfield controller. I'm happy enough with that. I can just use that.
So I didn't really
Fair
see anybody
enough.
talking about this, but the idea of a gyro controller means that there's gonna be more games that use this. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I know that
Gyros on
Nintendo likes
all the
doing this
controllers.
shit, but
You
I
say
ain't
that, but
about
like
Gyros on PS5 and
I would
Switch.
say PlayStation
Oh,
has
is it
that, and they
Yeah.
never use it. Like it never.
Then
uses
no
it,
one
like-
uses it.
I'm about to say
Like, it's
that.
never
I know
been
like
used.
think it's
Nintendo
just for
especially
Astro's
loves making
Playroom.
those funky ass games with like motion controls. I ain't about it, bro.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
I am. I'm the one who buys those games.
You're the
never
reason,
want
bro.
a PlayStation.
You're the reason for this ugly ass controller design, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, concept phase. I should mention, like, a lot of this stuff was like leaked. This is like concepts from like 2020 or 2019. Like these are pretty old documents. Kind of goes to show just how far ahead like these companies plan this stuff out. And I should also mention the Series X refresh, that thing. The targeted launch is October 2024. So, do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Granted, like you said, this is also like around 2020. I'm sure COVID probably pushed a lot of that back.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's kind of like everything in relation to the like Series X refresh. I want to talk about these games that got leaked.
Video games.
This is the cool stuff, all right? So, it's interesting. Only Bethesda stuff got leaked. No Microsoft first party stuff like like, oh man, they're making another Forza game or anything, nothing crazy like that. Just
What?
weirdo
Forza?
Bethesda games. So I want to go through this. So again, this is an old list, but it very much shows financial year 20 is Doom Eternal and DLC, Elder Scrolls Online Greymoor, Fallout Wastelanders, Deathloop, and then it goes to 2021, which is like, it shows that Starfield was planned for 2021, which is interesting in and of itself, along with our favorite game, Redfall, Game of the Year. And then like Project Tabiki, which would later become Hi-Fi Rush. We know about that. But then you get to financial year 2022, and this is where the interesting stuff starts. Indiana Jones game. So that was planned for a lot earlier than we actually got. Oblivion remaster. I think it's pretty much confirmed. We talked about this on the podcast before. I think it's pretty much confirmed this Oblivion remaster is real.
Yeah, I like we've seen it way too many times now. Like it's coming at some point.
I mean, I hope so. I've tried to go back to Oblivion. I just don't think it's aged well. Dark was talking about it with me too. It's like that game. I see a lot of great ideas. It just hasn't aged well, and I think a remaster.
I know there's a story in it. It's really well, but I've tried multiple times in the past to go back into Oblivion, and I really can't. There's just the combat and some of the mechanics just have not have aged well.
A lot of respect for the game, but I just don't think it's aged well. So a remaster is exciting. Starfield DLC, obviously we know that, but then financial year 2023, Doom Year Zero and DLC.
Wait, you have my attention?
Oh, Moon. A new Doom game. This is fascinating because one of the biggest rumors was that id Software's next game was Quake.
Yeah.
So
and Quake is nowhere on this list.
Yeah, so it kind of shows like maybe those rumors were just not true, or maybe stuff shift around. Maybe Doom Year Zero isn't a thing anymore, and they switched to Quake. Like I said, this is an old list,
yeah,
so
is
very
like 2020.
much.
So it's 3 years later. Like maybe they did prototype some Doom stuff, and they're like, you know what? Let's just do Quake instead.
It's interesting because Doom Eternal, like this very much sounds like it's going to be a prequel, which makes sense because if you did the DLC for Doom Eternal, it ends on a very definitive note, not a very good note. I don't really like the ending to that game, but hey, you know what? That's just me. But Year Zero is very interesting. I guess it would be like maybe how like Doomslayer's origin story. So that's exciting. I loved it.
Or maybe like a Mortal Kombat 1 kind of thing, and everything just resets.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too, because with Doom Eternal, like always the opening cutscene, you can tell that everything is fucked. But eventually they're gonna have to like reset. So technically, if they do make a sequel to it, and like the world's like rebuilding, but there's still like demons and shit like kind of running about, Year Zero in that sense could make sense in my opinion. If they do that, I don't know.
Maybe this will finally make Fusion play Doom 2016. You know, like I keep asking them to.
Probably not. No.
What is wrong with you, man?
I will play the Doom games. I will play the Doom games.
Sure.
You haven't played the Doom games?
Nope. I mean, I played. I think I did try a little bit of Doom 2016, but it was like through Gamepass years ago, and I was just like not digging it very much. And I was
like, Xbox. Get this shit off.
Yeah, no. I always know they're like super cool, but like they're also not my style of shooters, where it's more like arcade. You want your numbers to go higher, like. But I want to actually sit down and like try out the franchise. So like a new Doom being announced or like on the horizon does make me more inclined to be like, okay, I have to go play the others.
I will say, like what you say about it being arcadey, it's not nearly as arcadey as you would think. Like I would say like the original Doom games, like the classic ones from the 90s, which I think still hold up. Those are much more arcadey. Doom 2016 very much feels more like, I don't know how to explain it. Like arena shooter is kind of what you were saying about it being arcadey, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
I guess like more.
And it doesn't have to have a story. I see it does, but like, is there a story where it's like this is
it's there to move the plot along for you to go from like location to location, and that's about it.
you like slowly grow stronger throughout the story. Like it's I don't know. I think it's I'm gonna
Like, there's
say
this
something
whole
crazy.
plot point of him being like prophesized to bring about the end of the world
Yeah.
or something like that. It's weird.
It's very metal. like
Super
yeah,
metal.
it's like you ever see those metal albums where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like it's kind of like Doom's story basically, where
I mean,
it's like
that's
this
basically
is so
the
cool.
Doom Eternal cover is a metal
Yeah.
cover.
The music always sounds awesome. Like whenever
Oh, the
I hear the
music's so
music.
good. Mick Gordon, man, that's so disrespectful how they treated him.
It is crazy to think though, like if this list were to hold up, like if COVID never happened the way it did, that we would have gotten Doom Eternal and its DLC in 2020, and then 3 years later in 23 we get Doom Zero. It's like they're really pushing on that Doom IP.
I mean, I can go check. I live like 10 minutes away from it, so I can
Just
I
go
can
asking
go ask
yourselves like, were you guys really planning to do another Dooms right away? And are you doing Quake?
Sir, please leave. And then also on this Project Kestrel and Project Platinum. I mean, we don't know much. It's just project names. Not much to say there. Then financial year 24, Elder Scrolls 6.
All right, it's down for next year.
Next year, baby.
Let's go! Procedurally generated dungeons, my favorite. I mean, obviously that got pushed to oblivion. I mean, we'll talk about Elder Scrolls 6 a bit later, but yeah, not much to say there. And then Project Kestrel expansion, and then a licensed IP game. I mean, Indiana Jones was already on this list.
Yeah,
what
that's
other
the
IPs?
interesting part is that Indy's already listed here.
Licensed IP.
Marvel stuff, maybe.
It might be another Marvel game. If it is Marvel, and this is like me being completely biased, I feel like it's disrespectful and a missed opportunity that a Mandalorian game has not been made based off of the TV show or related to the TV show. So if this is another Marvel IP and Star Wars based, make it be that. Do not give me something weird, please. I swear to God.
I will
There's money
say,
on the table with this.
I will say that I looked up some like just Bethesda Marvel rumor articles just to see, and there was a few rumors from last year talking about Roundhouse making a PvPvE Marvel game. So maybe,
What?
It
yeah,
better not be PvP.
PvPvE, which sounds like a
Like Destiny.
like a Destiny, yeah, or like one of those games. But what does Roundhouse make?
I think they make mobile games. I can check real quick.
That
I
sounds
think
like
I
something
remember.
that would-
Yeah, I think
If I
Roundhouse
remember,
Alpha Dog, right? From Bethesda.
yeah, let me check. No, nobody ever gives me a clean answer. Okay, well, I accidentally opened a new tab. I'm just gonna go to the next game and try to figure it out from there. Next one on here, Fallout 3 remaster. This one I'm very excited about. I mean, we've been asking for a Fallout 3 remaster for a while. I love Fallout 3. I would love an excuse to go back to that game, and I think this is the perfect excuse. And also, it helps people, who haven't played it before. Which I don't think Fallout 3 has aged that badly. I think it's aged pretty well. The only big thing is just the shooting. Yeah, it's just the shooting.
Yeah.
Like
I do want to
graphically,
say,
maybe it could be touched up.
nothing, if this is clearly being worked on because of the leak, but if they space this out properly, I don't know like the time span, how they space this out. Theoretically, this could hold us over into Fallout 5 if nobody's working on Fallout 5 until after Elder Scrolls is done. But they really need to figure out what the fuck they're doing to Fallout during these massive dev periods. Because
I don't know why they
they're
don't have
gonna make
another
Starfield
studio
2.
work.
I don't see them not making a Starfield 2. So when Starfield 2 gets starts cooking up production, right? Fallout's gonna be left in the dust for so long. It's like, what? You gotta do something with this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting to say the least. I want someone other than Bethesda to make Fallout. Like, I'm not saying this as a Bethesda. Hey, I love Bethesda, but why is it that like I'm gonna talk about it a lot later. I fucking love New Vegas to death, and it's like, why not have Obsidian make it? Like instead they're making Outer Worlds 2, and it's like, I'm sorry. Outer Worlds is not a very good IP in comparison to Fallout. I'm just gonna say it. Like, it just as an IP, it's just not nearly as interesting as a world. You just have
but it's also not as nearly as old. It's a very new IP.
I mean, yeah, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I would rather that you see how well they did with New Vegas, I would want them to go back to that IP and actually have the time to really iron it out. They had 18 months to make New Vegas, and that's considered the best Fallout game. Imagine if they actually had time. That's all
I
I'm saying.
say, let them
Yeah.
make Outer Worlds 2, and then do a New Vegas 3 remake, New Vegas remake, and then wait on that to see how those games do, and then transition from the New Vegas 1 remake into New Vegas 2. There you go. And that'll hold people
Now,
over to Fallout 5 in 2036, whenever the fuck that game comes out.
yeah,
Yeah, but also,
I know when everyone says, "Oh, go ahead, Cyber."
yeah, so just to defend Outer Worlds real quick, it's a good game. I feel like there's a ton of potential there, but also, a little more money would go a long way on that series. And now under Microsoft, they basically, and being Obsidian, I feel like Microsoft recognizes the value of Obsidian quite a bit due to their previous, I don't know, previous products that they put out, right, with Grounded and whatnot. I feel like they're gonna pour some money on Outer Worlds and make Outer Worlds a pretty big deal. So I'd say just wait and see, man. Just let them cook. I think Outer Worlds has a ton of potential.
Here's the thing. Here's my viewpoint. Imagine you were at the E3 where Outer Worlds 2 got announced. Imagine the reaction if that was a new Fallout game instead. People would have been way more excited. I just think as a world and a universe that the misutilization of Fallout as an IP is genuinely insane to me. Where it's like, I'm a Fallout 4 defender, and then 76 happened. And then Bethesda's like, well, this is our IP. We're gonna make the games. It's like, you saw Obsidian did well with Fallout. Like, maybe not have Obsidian make Fallout. In Exile or any of these other 20 other RPG studios you have, or any other developer, license it out. It's Fallout. Like, it can be way bigger of an IP if Bethesda wasn't so fucking stingy with it. Like, it's just so frustrating to me how misutilized it is.
My bad for cutting you off midway. I do want to bring up something that with Minecraft, for example, they're branching out and trying like different genres, but with Minecraft. And even though not all of them hit, it is like one of the coolest ideas I've seen done like recently. They should try that with Fallout and some of their other IPs, I think. Just 100%. To see what hits. You never really know what the fuck's gonna hit.
There was a Fallout Tactics game back in like the early 2000s. It wasn't very good, but it was a thing. Like it was a Fallout Tactics game. It's like, why is that
mobile game? I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, that mobile game's fun.
Yeah, the Fallout Shelter.
Really fun.
Yeah,
Shelter was a lot of fun. I haven't played it forever though, but yeah.
That was my first Fallout experience.
I do also think there's maybe not really a push. I really think there's maybe not really a push from Microsoft, because Microsoft could probably just go in there now that they own and be like, yo, we need another Fallout like ASAP. We're going to take this IP and go give it to someone else so you guys can work on other stuff and we can get another Fallout game. I really do think Microsoft might be in the mindset of people recognize games like Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Doom as Bethesda titles still instead of Xbox. So they're going to want these studios to more focus on Outer Worlds and their other newer IPs, because they want to make people be the mindset of these are Xbox games. These are Xbox Studios games made under the Xbox banner, whereas where there's still that mindset of, like I said, Fallout and Elder Scrolls that still has the Bethesda third-party label to them. I don't want to call it a stink, but like people automatically don't assume that's an Xbox game. So I think they would rather put the money towards the Outer Worlds too, because they can promote that as like, hey, this is our Xbox game, while they still want to make the money from the Fallout and the Elder Scrolls whenever Bethesda gets around to it. They're not going to push it though. They rather push their newer stuff.
Yeah, I guess this is to like kind of round up the conversation. Fallout 3 Remaster is very exciting, and like Dark said, that could very well stave us off until Fallout 5. But like again, Fallout 5, there should be other Fallout games in between. That's all.
Be sure to tune in to Slice of Gaming episode 326 when Fallout 5 is announced.
Yeah. Woohoo! And then doesn't get released for another 6 years. God bless. And then other games on this. Oh, Fusion. Ghostwire Tokyo's sequel. Your favorite game.
Like, they should have never greenlit this.
I'm surprised it got greenlit, honestly.
Well, that's what's weird. This was technically greenlit before it came out.
Okay, so that actually might be something. They might have be like, okay, this game has potential. We're gonna early greenlight a sequel, and then it comes out, and they're like, oh.
If that is true, they canceled this project.
Yeah, it's possible
100%.
this game could just be canceled.
Moving on, Dishonored 3. This was one of the more interesting ones. A lot of people are very much like, oh yeah, it's happening. Again, a lot of this stuff could get canceled. I actually think this maybe got canceled because I don't know. Dishonored has never really been like a massive IP on the scale of like how well Deathloop did. And I feel like Arcane Leon, who did Dishonored 1 and 2 and Deathloop, they'd be like, you know what, let's do Dishonored, or let's do Deathloop 2. I think that would attract a wider audience in a way that I don't think Dishonored 3 would. And it's not to say I think Dishonored games are bad. I've tried a bit of 2, like I just wasn't my thing, but like I respect the games. I just don't think, I don't really expect this project to get any farther, personally.
I mean,
They
I
better
would
have
say-
canceled Ghostwire Tokyo sequel for a Hi-Fi Rush sequel.
That's what I was about to bring that up real quick. I'm like, especially after the hype of Hi-Fi Rush. I know it's probably like a different, smaller team that worked on Hi-Fi Rush, but like, if I release Hi-Fi Rush after Ghostwire Tokyo, I would be like, okay, Ghostwire Tokyo 2 is not happening. Greenlight whatever Hi-Fi Rush next game can be, like
Yeah.
whatever universe that can. But on the like Dishonored part, where you were talking about like it probably won't have the juice as like a Deathloop 2 or something like that. I was gonna push back and say, well, you can point to Deathloop and be like from the studio that made Deathloop, like Arcane, but then you also have Redfall in the middle of this now. So like even if you try to spin it where you're like Dishonored 3 from Arcane, everyone thinks Arcane now and they think Redfall. And that's just not a good
unfortunate.
that's not a
I
good
don't know.
thought.
Two different
I still think
studios.
of
Well, not everyone,
Dishonored.
but like a lot of like casual people. Well, I know I just feel like Redfall kind of leaves like this nastiness over like the Arcane name, which it shouldn't.
100%.
So that like kind of gets in the way, but I do still think if a Dishonored 3 like was announced, it would be bigger news than if a Deathloop 2 was announced.
I mean,
Oh yeah,
it would
100%.
be.
I
I'm
agree.
pretty sure Dishonored's a bigger like deal than Deathloop.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
I'm one of the
feel
people
like
that wasn't a big
No, you
fan
guys-
of Deathloop.
You guys weren't there. Dishonored was not doing well at launch. It never sold well.
Well,
Well,
but
like
at
right now,
launch,
though.
the,
it
like,
became
the
more
time,
cult
though.
classic later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a
Yeah.
cult classic, but like Deathloop
Although
was
my
like an
issue-
immediate like success. That's my
But
viewpoint.
Deathloop was an immediate success because of Dishonored and like Arcane getting the love. Like Deathloop popped off because finally people played Dishonored and they were like, okay, this is what the next Dishonored team is working on. So now that people know what they can get with Arcane, I feel like you announce a Dishonored 3, people are gonna be like, okay, they made Dishonored 1 and 2, and I really liked them after I went 5 years later. They made a Deathloop. They made a Prey. Now they've gotten like, other than Redfall, you see all what they've made after those Dishonored games, there's going to be more hype for another Dishonored game. Or I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
I feel like Deathloop 1, not Deathloop, Dishonored 1 was like lightning in a bottle. Because Dishonored 2 is like, I might be in the minority. I'm not that big in that game. I don't know what it is about it.
Everyone's
It's
just
just,
two is better. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I don't
consensus
agree
I
with
see
that.
from most people is 2's better.
I just
people,
couldn't really
like,
get into 2.
people
It didn't get as hooked
swear-
into me like 1 did.
I remember female protagonist. I get it. You're part of the
No, you can pick
anti-woke
whatever
crowd.
protagonist you feel like.
No, I don't remember.
That's
But
the thing.
it's I never understood. Okay, this is like a weird tangent. It was always weird to me. It's like, oh, you could pick the protagonist. It's like, well, I mean, it's kind of clear you wanted the female protagonist to be like the one you choose. Like, I don't know. I feel like they
The
really
way they did it
wanted you
both
to
made
play her.
sense, but like the game itself is fine. I feel like,
I don't know.
You
I
could
mean,
just
it's
give me though.
interesting to say the least. No, I think it's fair, like, to have the opinion on either. A lot of people do prefer Dishonored 1 over 2. It's just interesting to say 2 was just overall. I don't want to say like not a good game, but like disappointing.
I know it doesn't matter, but like critically, they both got an 88.
Oh, okay. You know what? You're right. Well, now tell me the Deathloop scores, Fusion.
I think Deathloop also got an 88.
There's no way it got an 88 as well. That'd actually be really funny.
I swear, bro.
It got a 10 from GameSpot, which, as someone whose Deathloop was like my game of the year that year, is not a 10 out of 10 game.
Deathloop has an 88 right now. That is not a lie.
There's no fucking way.
They just
Wait,
make
OpenCritic?
88. No, Metacritic, but I could check.
Metacritic. Oh, well, that's funny.
OpenCritic wasn't around when Dishonored came out. That's why I didn't check that.
I always forget that OpenCritic was like really recent, like 2017.
Yeah, I
Interesting.
forget when they came out.
I should also mention, Fusion sent me this about Roundhouse Studios. Roundhouse Studios, for those that don't know, is the old Human Head studio formed in 2019. It hasn't released a single game as Roundhouse Studios under Bethesda. As Human Head Studios, it's most notable for its canceled Prey 2 game. Beyond this, it's shipped quite a few middling games. Meanwhile, it also recently shipped The Quiet Man in 2018, one of the worst games in the last generation. Dude, you guys remember The Quiet Man?
Where did you pull that from, Fusion?
What article was it? Yeah.
Yeah, you should probably give them a source.
I don't really care about the source. It's just really funnily written.
Honestly, don't remember the article. I'm on incognito.
Wow. Wow.
So while he looks for that, I just want to point out one interesting thing about this leak that we haven't talked about yet. But the abundance of, in the next column over, the free-to-play and mobile.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up at the end.
In each year.
I mean, we talked like Doom Year Zero DLC. Yeah, okay, Doom's getting DLC, but like the free-to-play and mobile, Project Ubu, Project Wanderer for 21, and then 22, 3 planned titles. 23, 1 planned title, and then 24, 1 planned title.
The fact that Bethesda is also going this hard into free-to-play and mobile games.
Well, they were really going hard pre-acquisition. I mean, that's the reason Fallout 76 existed. They were not doing well financially. They wanted to push live service games as a service. Like Redfall was originally very much a game service, live service games as a service. And it seems like I think a lot of these got canceled as soon as Microsoft took them. It's like, what are these?
Yeah,
these are going to ruin your image.
We have daddy's money now. We don't need to do this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just one thing to note too, like all these games being Bethesda games, on this leak, right? It kind of tells me that this might have been something that came from when ZeniMax got acquired, and then you have a roadmap of products that it was on the pipeline for ZeniMax.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah, so that's why we see a bunch of only Bethesda titles, but also like a lot of things have changed, right? Because this might have been laid out before a pandemic, and yeah.
Of course. Yeah, a lot of this is subject to change. And then last thing through this leak, I want to go through this pretty quickly. Just stuff on Xbox's new next generation. A lot of stuff that I don't really understand. The big thing, though, is ARM. Cyber, this is your job. I need you here.
This is why we brought you. Do your job.
Yeah, well, it doesn't say there that they are going to use ARM, right? It says ARM versus x64, I think is what it is. So x64 and x86 are used interchangeably by media at large. That's basically what we had in Xbox One, PS4. We have today in PS5, Xbox Series, and we also have it on PC. Have had it for forever. ARM is the processor architecture that you have on your mobile devices. So the Switch or every phone that you ever had. A whole bunch of servers also use ARM nowadays. ARM is just much more power efficient than x86, and it has been getting more and more powerful. If you think about the new Apple devices, like the new MacBooks, they have migrated to ARM processors in them, and they are significantly more power efficient than anything that you can get from AMD or Intel on the laptop space. And that's something that's good for consoles or for Xbox specifically, because if you remember, Microsoft has xCloud, right? Or game streaming, which is when they put a whole bunch of Xboxes, they make a server farm out of it, put it in the cloud, and then you can play your Xbox games through the cloud. Having ARM chips for that would considerably reduce the cost of maintaining those servers. But also it would significantly reduce the cost of maintaining your own Xbox and keeping it on at all times, which is also something that they want, because you can stream games from your own home and stuff like that. But another thing is, this is what I think it's more interesting about them considering cloud, is that they have said before that they have plans, or they have this ambition to create a mobile storefront, right, for Xbox, where you can play games on your phone, or you can buy them through the Xbox storefront on your phone natively. If they migrate to cloud, or sorry, not to cloud, to ARM, then the architecture between differences between a phone and an Xbox console will be minimal, right? And they can target both platforms pretty easily, and that way they can expand the Xbox brand to more than just a console or more than just a PC storefront, but also a mobile storefront where you see games running natively in comparable performance to a console on your phone, which like would solve their no handheld problem, which people have been clamoring for. So that's just something that I think it's very interesting about them considering ARM, and I think it's pretty exciting. I would love to see an ARM Xbox in the future, especially in 2028, which is far, far in the future, and the technology at that time is just prone to be significantly more powerful than what we have today. So exciting times ahead.
Would PlayStation and Nintendo also switch to ARM? Like, is that a
Yeah,
possibility?
so the Switch
I'm
is
not really
already
sure
on
about that
ARM.
stuff.
Yeah, so the Switch is already on ARM, right? The
Oh,
Switch
okay.
runs on an ARM processor. Um, it runs on the Tegra X1 chip, if I remember correctly. There are subvariants, but anyway, that's an NVIDIA built processor. Um, the PS5, I don't know. That's the thing. It can go either way, right? Because I don't know. The Sony's
hmm
future is just a blank to me because I don't know what aspirations they have other than let's keep building premium games for premium consoles and having people there. And then a year or two later, we put those games on PC as well. Whereas Xbox is more open about we want everything everywhere all at once, right? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I can see because there are benefits and pros and cons, right, to x86 and ARM. So, but I think it makes more sense for Xbox right now to push for ARM than for PS. Also, having that difference there between the two consoles will be amazing. I feel like competition will go crazy for that, rather than just similar machines with different OSs kind of a thing. So I don't know. It is exciting, but I don't see
hmm
Sony having the same um, motivations to go to ARM than the Xbox has, for example.
Is there anything else in this like next gen Xbox thing that you find interesting in relation to like all this other details, or is this kind of like stuff we kind of already know, like not really any crazy details that we're going to be thinking about?
Yeah, I think just one more thing that's interesting to point out is that they talk about they laid out some bullet points about things that they want, technical specs that they want to meet on this new generation. One of them is like better ray tracing, right, through DirectX. But one of them is machine learning superscalar, and that's basically what DLSS is. So they want AMD to not only have FSR, which is not a machine learned superscalar, it's software based, so you don't need the hardware that can perform the machine learning calculations. Um, so that's interesting because that would be a shift, right? They're kind of requiring or suggesting AMD to go in a different direction with their technology, but also it's something that they could build themselves. Um, and having a DLSS answer on a console would be awesome because DLSS performs and looks much, much better than FSR does because of this hardware requirements, right? So them thinking about that, I think will go a long way um, for visual fidelity and performance and longevity of the next console whenever it comes out.
Yeah, that's all very interesting. Appreciate your insight in the matter because I kind of read all that and was like, oh, nice numbers. We're back, baby.
Yeah, hopefully I
um,
was able to break down the technical details a little bit.
oh yeah, you did great. Yeah,
Not as good as me, but you were good, man. Don't worry about
okay, Fusion. All right.
it.
I was
I'm
that
still
big
stuck on the
myself. I was like,
waffle.
what the fuck, man? Yeah.
That's
The,
above
the
my pay
waffle
grade.
crisp, beautiful. Moving on. We got a lot more stuff. So there was this email that Phil sent to some people, very private email. Canuble, friend of the show, kind of brought this up and said Microsoft was in talks to acquire Warner Brothers Interactive. People were really focusing in, however, how on this line specifically, Takashi. I can't I can't not read it in Phil's voice. I'm really sorry. Takashi, I totally agree that Nintendo is the prime asset for us in gaming, and today gaming is our most likely path to consumer relevance. I've had numerous conversations with the LT of Nintendo about tighter collaboration and feel if any US company would have a chance at Nintendo, we are probably in the best position. The unfortunate or unfortunate for Nintendo situation is that Nintendo is sitting on a big pile of cash. They have a BOD that until recently has not pushed for further increases in market growth or stock appreciation. I say until recently, as our former Microsoft BOD member, Valvect, has been heavily acquiring shares of Nintendo, and I've kept in touch with Mason Morfit as he's been acquiring. It's likely he will be pushing for more from Nintendo stock, which could create opportunities for us. So that's kind of the big headline that a lot of people took, not really reading between the lines, where Phil wasn't saying, "Oh, we should buy Nintendo." He's like, "Man, I'd like to buy Nintendo. Every company wants to buy Nintendo. They make billions of dollars. Everyone wants Nintendo. It's not that surprising."
So the way that the email was formatted, you can tell that somebody, I'm not sure who the person who he's replying to, whoever he's replying to suggested, you can imagine based off the way that Phil responded. It's like, it's along the lines of something like, hey, we should go after Nintendo. That's pretty much the bottom line of that. And Phil is pretty much saying, that would be amazing, but here's why we can't do that. But people were taking that as, oh yeah, we want Nintendo. It's like, I don't know, you know how the internet is, people get ridiculous, but that's really what Phil's saying here.
The subject of the email is literally random thought. And it was for Takashi Numoto.
Oh, good. I write emails the same way these executives do.
So whoever Takashi is, it seems like he mentioned something about acquiring Nintendo.
Phil,
Phil did mention
literally.
something.
Oh, sorry. I just want to point out. At the end of the email, he literally puts a smiley emoticon. You can tell this was not a very serious email. That's all I'm saying.
It's very clearly like someone in the industry who just looks at everything as like a business, is not really listening to the gaming side of the gaming industry. Just more like the business side. Like, well, here's this other company that makes a lot of money, has a lot of IPs that we can use. We have a lot of money. Why don't we buy them? And then Phil's like, cute idea.
Phil's entertaining the idea, but he's not saying we should do
why he didn't do it.
Exactly. Like, you read between the lines, but everyone sees the headline. Oh, Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo? Like, guys, just read it for 1 second until
reading is for losers. I need outrage.
Do you want to mention is that he mentions working with Nintendo more, and that is something I do want to see because they worked with Nintendo on Smash for adding Banjo to Smash, and that was something really cool in my opinion. I'm really pro collaborations and shit like that.
Yeah,
so I want to see more stuff like that. You can add Kai and add him to Smash. He's a perfect fit for Smash. Or do like something maybe I highly doubt it, but maybe something from Nintendo can come over to Xbox and vice versa.
Wait, are you saying Chai should be in before Master Chief for Smash? I don't know. I feel like you should put Master Chief first.
That's true as well, that I think about it, but like, I still think my point's valid.
I just felt it's more the style of Smash than
he's more unique too than Master. Was Master Chief gonna gun everybody down, bro?
To be honest, Kai is anime, so
oh my god,
he's like one half
can be rhythm
already.
I hate how we're entertaining the idea of putting Chai in before Master
fucking
Chief.
I'm just saying, like,
if we got Banjo and Steve, so.
Oh, just face Steve. I forgot about Steve.
How did you forget about Steve?
Steve broke Twitter.
I think about it every day.
Minecraft.
A lot of that. But all that out of the way, he did also say this. Confidently, we have 2 fairly active M&A, mergers and acquisition discussions in gaming right now. Warner Brothers Interactive and ZeniMax. So there's a lot more to that, but like the big thing is they acquired ZeniMax. Again, this is an old email. Warner Brothers Interactive, it seems like they were very much in talks to purchase their IPs at the very least. Now, I say IPs, if you guys remember, Warner Brothers wanted to sell off their gaming divisions a few years back, and
I think they still are in some ways.
Yeah, very much so. But like, the deal was really shitty because it was basically like, oh yeah, you can buy out the rights to license our IP. It's like, what? It was like a really bad deal.
Like
so
the
no
deal that
company took it.
Sony has with Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was like something.
It's worse.
In that regard. It was
also the reason why we got 2 Mortal Kombats back to back is because they're the whole division of their video games and their uncertainty with being able to use the WB brand for DC was like so shaky that they're like, we can't risk spending 2 years of our lives making Injustice 3 and then suddenly everything falls apart and we can't use the license anymore. Have to start over on a whole new game.
I mean, do you guys think this WB acquisition would have gone anywhere, or do you think like it's
if
at least
things
like
got worse,
right
but WB seems to be doing slightly better now.
Keep in mind, it's
Yeah,
not like a
more
stereotypical acquisition. It would have been like very selective on what they chose. It
yeah.
would have been interesting, but I'm kind of glad it didn't happen, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, same.
This is me personally.
Yeah, Activision is
another-
a better buy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, at least for Microsoft, it's the better buy.
Yes.
Moving on, this was a pretty interesting one. Next Gen Player at Twitter has this. Here's what it costs Microsoft to get games on Game Pass day one, and a lot of this was estimations on how much it would have cost for these games.
Yeah, this is
I'm just-
Xbox estimates before they even talk to these companies.
Yeah. Red Dead 2, $5 million a month. Suicide Squad, $250 million. You're not getting your money back there. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, $300 million. Mortal Kombat 1, $250 million. This is the one that got a lot of headlines. Baldur's Gate 3, $5 million. Very much underestimating it, but also the entire industry underestimated Baldur's Gate 3 and did not realize just how big
Baldur's
of a
Gate
success it was.
came out and said that everybody underestimated them, so it's not that big of a
Yeah.
deal.
I'm in the industry and I didn't underestimate them.
Yeah, okay, Fusion.
I believe.
You even know what Baldur's Gate was 2 years ago?
Put me
Yes,
in
he
the office.
did.
Put me in the office. That's what I'm saying.
Moving on, what's it called? Gotham Knights was 30 million. Assassin's Creed Rift 100 mil. GTA 5 12 to 15 mil. Dying Light 2 50 mil. Lego Star Wars 35 mil. Dragon Ball The Breakers 20 mil. I love how that's one of the games they were considering. Return to Monkey Island 5 mil. Wreckfest 2 10 to 14 mil. Just Dance 5 mil. Blood Runner 5 mil. And Glitchbusters 5 mil. Interesting list there. They very much overestimated Star Wars and Suicide Squad, but also those are pretty massive IPs, so I can't even say like they overestimated it.
I think Star Wars would have made that money back.
Oh yeah, for sure, it would have made the money back.
Star Wars, but it's interesting now because since this also came out, Gotham Knights now is coming to Game Pass like in the next week or two, so they did go through with that deal.
Well, so
Yeah,
keep in mind, these deals
made it
were for
appreciated.
day one. That's something to point out.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So
This is
yeah,
supposed to be
this
day
is
one
like a
numbers
year
from
afterwards.
who knows
It's
how long
interesting.
ago they knew about Gotham Knights.
That is interesting. You say day one, but also there's stuff like Red Dead 2 and GTA 5. So I think some of these were day one, and then some of them.
A lot of them were
like-
day one, but they're yeah. And
Yeah.
the stuff
I also
for
think-
GTA, isn't it like 12 to 15 million a month?
It
It's
costs more for
insane.
GTA 5 than Red Dead 2. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I think that the
I mean,
Red
'cause
Dead
GTA
2
is a
stuff
cash
also
cow.
could have been like a next gen version of Red Dead 2, which should still be out, but it's not. Like if a next gen version of if Rockstar came out and was like a next gen version of Red Dead, I think that's what that is confirming, that it is coming at some
Actually,
point.
that kind of makes sense. GTA 5 had the next gen version.
Yeah,
but
like those are what I'm thinking. Where it's like because it makes no sense for one that we're 6 years, 5 years from Red Dead 2 and there's still not a next gen version. But I think that was
I
more of like if Red Dead 2 gets that next gen version, how much would it cost to get it like day in Xbox Game Pass?
And I'll tell you right now, Rockstar does not care about Red Dead 2. They did not treat that game with
Something
enough
to point out
respect.
about that list. They had the price points, but then they had the likelihood of this deal closing. And that was another interesting thing. So you can see like where Microsoft thought they stood with all of these companies, if they were to go to them with this proposal.
Moving on. No, I didn't mean that.
Okay,
Sorry.
I see how it
He
is.
said,
No,
you
no.
meant nothing.
I
He
was
said,
about
"Fuck you."
okay. It was not in a rude way. I thought you were done talking. That's why.
That's so funny.
Bro said, okay,
We're ending
anyways.
podcast.
No, he's like, well,
I'll try. I'll be careful. I'm sorry. It was no hard feelings. Moving on. VGC had this on Twitter. This is an update about Microsoft reportedly leaking the things. Because the big thing is like everyone was thinking when this first happened, it's like, oh, the FTC leaked it. But VGC gives us Judge Jacqueline Scott Corley, who oversaw the FTC case, has confirmed that Microsoft accidentally provided a federal court with a link to an unredacted Xbox documents, which were then uploaded to the internet page established for its case against the FTC. So it was very much on Microsoft that whoever did that man's getting fired. I'll tell you right now.
I went to him personally, bro. It's a wrap.
Oh yeah, Phil's beating him up right now.
Yeah. Phil
Send that
Spencer
man to
walked
my
him out
office.
of the office. He said, "You're coming with me, buddy."
They're giving him the GTA 6 leaker treatment. They gotta fucking burn him at the stake, bro.
Microsoft's crazy. They would do that. Jim Ryan would never harm a soul. So
I'm not Jim Ryan one. I'm just saying. He would email his employees
What
about his
kind of
cats.
It's a
he
distraction
talked
from
to
what
him
he's
about
doing
his
to his
cats in his
employees, bro.
office. Oh god.
And then our final thing on this story, big story, like we said. Phil Spencer responded. We've seen the conversation. I don't know why the Phil Spencer voice always comes out of me. Like I can't stop it. We've seen the conversation around old emails and documents. It is hard to see our team's work shared in this way because so much has changed and there's so much to be excited about right now. In the future, we will share the real plans when we are ready. Very much saying like, hey, this whole thing sucks, but a lot of this stuff is old, it's outdated, a lot of our plans changed. What we expected out of a response from Big Phil over there.
I just like
Yeah,
how
that's
funny
it.
it is, like how late this response was from Phil. Like it was like maybe a whole day later. And the funniest thing going around on Twitter was a screenshot of earlier that day. It's like Phil's playing Starfield. It's like Phil does not give a fuck. He's just playing Starfield.
That's so
And
based.
then someone probably had to come into his office and be like, "Oh, Phil, we really should get a response about this." And he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah." He puts down Starfield, writes down this quick address and this quick response in like 30 seconds, and be like, "Okay, back to Starfield."
What addiction does to a motherfucker, man. But yeah, I guess that's everything in relation to the Xbox leak. Really looking at it, it very much. I think the fact that a lot of this stuff is clearly a lot older from like 2020, and really thinking about it, like really deep diving, I don't think it's as massive of a leak as we once like believed, but it's still a lot of very interesting things, projects in the works that we probably didn't know of. That Fallout 3 and Oblivion, I think those are for sure gonna happen. And
Yeah,
then
it's just
like
an
maybe
interesting window into like what's possibly still in the works, what
exactly.
might have been canceled. Looking at like maybe an alternate timeline where maybe Bethesda didn't get bought because maybe this is just because looking at like we said the free to play mobile stuff that they had in the works, this was clearly them doing stuff to also help with like money because they're bleeding dry because it takes so long to make their regular games that they needed this other stuff to subsidize costs. So this is probably their pre-COVID, pre-Microsoft acquisition plans. And then once both those things happened, everything got probably thrown out the window.
100%. But yeah, moving on. Unity, our favorite game engine, responded. An open letter to our community. This is Mark Whitten. To our community, I'm Mark Whitten and I lead Unity Creates, which includes the Unity engine and editor teams. I want to start with this. I am sorry. And then it goes on about apology, but then here, our Unity personal plans will remain free and there will be no runtime fee for games built on Unity Personal. We will be increasing the cap from 100,000 to 200,000 and we will remove the requirement to use the Made with Unity splash screen. No game with less than $1 million in trailing 12-month revenue will be subject to the fee for those creators on Unity Pro and Enterprise. We are also making changes based on your feedback. The runtime fee policy will only apply beginning with the next LTS version of Unity shipping in 24 and beyond. Your games that are currently shipped and the projects you are currently working on will not be included unless you choose to upgrade them to this new version of Unity. We will make sure that you can stay on the terms apply for the version of Unity editor you are using.
There you
as
go.
long as you keep using that version. For games that are subject to the runtime fee, we're giving you a choice of either a 2.5% revenue share or the calculated amount based on the number of new people engaging with your game each month. Both of these numbers are self-reported from data you already have available. You will always be billed the lesser amount. So a lot of stuff to dissect here. I really want to ask Cyber his thoughts on this. I know you very much do a lot of game development, and I want to know like your viewpoints on everything in regards to Unity.
Oh, Unity. Okay. I I have used Unity in the past. Actually, I started learning. I'm not a game developer per se, right? I'm a software developer. I do backend work, mostly focused on cloud stuff. However, I have dabbled in game development for a while now. I have like written small game engines and stuff like that, so I do understand the inner workings of it quite a bit. And Unity was great as a beginner, and I think that's one of its biggest strengths. But also that's one of the biggest problems that it has with all these problems that it raised. Because schools teach Unity, like game dev schools, and newcomers learn Unity. And if Unity goes away, then a whole bunch of things about the basis, the foundation of where we have developers learning how to game develop today goes away as well. And that's why it's so disconcerting for the entire industry that Unity just, shot the bed like this. And my biggest issue with it is that they basically just want money. They say, hey, we want money. We know you depend on us, so we're gonna screw you over in the worst way that we can because we can, and we're gonna go back on what we promised before and whatnot. Yeah, so they just messed it up big time, and no developer is happy. Like no one even found this acceptable, and it was so bad that they walked it back significantly. But I think it's just too late for them. I don't think it matters. They can come back and say Unity Pro is free for 1 year, and it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone is trusting Unity with their projects anymore. If anyone has projects that are ongoing, I think they're going to finish those, see those through to completion, which is something that they walked back on. They will allow them to do. So if you don't upgrade to the new version, right, of Unity, you can keep on the old monetization scheme that they had. But for a new project, I don't think anyone is touching Unity, and I would be surprised if they do.
Interesting. Silksong is safe, Fusion. We're good.
It was safe before, but now it's just extra safe.
Exactly. 2024, baby.
Allegedly.
Wait, what?
Oh wait, 2023. I meant to say 20. I thought we were in 2024. I thought we were in 2024. I'll be honest with you guys. No, it's 2023. I forgot. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say 2023 just to support Fusion. You can do him dirty, man. Holy crap.
Last comrade, I was just lost.
It was an accident. I thought it was 2024.
He said that so naturally too. Holy crap.
Accidents are just window into his real thoughts.
Oh no.
That is insane.
January 2024. It'll be part of that.
Oh my god, he's
big
doubling
week.
down.
No. I was just saying, like, if it was going to be 2024, it'll be the first month of that year.
Doubling down.
Words in my mouth. Listen, whatever. The big thing I was laughing about this. I don't know why this is so funny. Just, hey, don't worry. You don't need to put the made in Unity splash screen. Like, I don't think anyone was like, oh, thank God. You know what? Now I'll use Unity. Like, that's such a... Why? Like, I don't think anyone minded.
I don't know, dude.
That is so funny. I wonder if they're still on it about, like, yeah, guys, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, they're going to pay the runtime fees. It's like, no, they won't. They will not pay.
It's going to be interesting, and, like... Let's see, the new plan starts next year for any game starting on that version that comes out next year. So once we see games coming out like 2025, 2026 that are made in Unity, it's like, well, it'll be interesting to see like how many games actually are. And then after that,
they're switching engines for sure. I'll tell you that now.
I don't think anyone is going to be making a Unity Game Pass
Everyone's
next year.
doing the Unreal Engine.
Next news story. We got some previews and details on FF7 Rebirth, a lot of stuff. Shinobi kind of got a decent amount of the stuff. There's a lot more that I could go into, but I saw it all. It's like I don't want to talk about 7 for like 3 hours.
We don't need to talk about it forever.
Yeah. First big thing, the game is huge at 150 gigabytes in size. I never know why that's a selling point. Like, stop saying the size of the game is a selling point. It never is. Working on FF7 Remake and Integrate helped the team familiarize with PS5 for faster development. That's kind of expected. Story runs up to the end of Forgotten Capital. We knew about that. Players with 7 Remake save files will receive an unknown summon materia at the start of Rebirth. My guess is Odin, because I want it to be Odin, because Odin is fucking awesome, and not enough people respect Odin from Final Fantasy. That's all I'll say.
Before it's Alexander.
I don't even know who that is.
It's gonna be something.
He's like a big wall tank looking motherfucker.
In the trailer for Rebirth, he's that big like pillar looking thing before you see Odin.
Oh my god.
That's
but no,
Alexander's always
it's
the
not going to be any.
biggest motherfucker. It's probably him because
No, it's not
I
going
don't
to be any
remember
of like
him
these
being
big
in the
named
original.
ones.
But
That's
I'm
really
trying to remember
sad.
who
It's
was in
like
the original. I don't remember Alexander. Could be blanking on him, but I don't
Hey,
remember him being in the original FF7.
I know there's
No,
a
there were
Knights
only
of
like
the
2 or
Round.
3 in remake.
Knights of the Round
Yeah,
would
there
be
was like
insane,
Ifrit,
but
Shiva.
there's no way Knights of the Round's a bonus for playing remake. They're gonna have your
No,
Oh
it's
no,
gonna
no, I'm
be
saying Knights of the Round was like
no, because you
that'd
know
be one.
what? The
ahead.
pre-order of Rebirth. I don't know if it was a pre-order or if you had to get it from a certain store or something, or maybe it was the special edition. But it was
like the
Cactor.
cactus.
Yeah, it was the Cactor.
Yeah.
It's gonna be something goofy like that. There was also
could
there's
try
also
that.
the Fat Chocobo. Yeah, there's the Fat
Yeah.
Chocobo. You also got as like a pre-order. Or
Oh, I
something.
love the Fat Chocobo. That
So
thing was
it's going to be
funny.
something goofy. It's going to be a goofy, weird summon that's not relevant to the
Yeah.
rest of the summons.
Before it's
Yeah,
Bahama
but
Zero,
Odin
bro.
would be so cool. Bahamut. Expanded minigames. For example, Cloud can collect soldiers and decide how to arrange them in Rufus Shinra's inauguration parade for different outcomes. I do remember that parade in the original game. That was a moment.
I sucked
I
at it,
didn't
bro.
like that game that much.
Fucking fish.
No, but I mean, interesting to say expanded minigames, obviously for Gold Saucer and stuff. I hope they're good because I remember getting to Gold Saucer. I'm like, fuck yeah, minigames, my favorite thing in any game. And then I play them. I'm like, these fucking suck. So I'm hoping they're actually good in the remake. Then finally, Vincent Valentine will join your party, but isn't playable. Implied that will happen in part 3. Kind of like how Red 13 was in this game. Or not this game, FF7 remake, where Red 13 was like kind of like part of the crew, but like you couldn't really play him. So yeah, those are kind of some initial details. And I also wanted to bring up this thing from Okami Games. FF7 Rebirth will feature the full world map from the original game with every location recreated in 1:1 scale. One seamless map with no loading screens, and new locations will unlock as you progress. So that's pretty awesome to hear. That kind of tells me this game's going to be fucking massive. I'm going to be sitting here like, oh, I'm never going to beat this thing, huh?
That's why people care about the gigabytes, bro. The 150 gigabytes right there.
150 gigabytes. There's
know
parading
what I
that
hate.
around. Like, oh, man.
This means that you didn't optimize
Now I'm
the
going to
game
buy
good,
the
bro.
Oh no, I
Exactly.
agree, but like there is a weird part of like
You would eat up your
Twitter,
console storage.
Twitter, where people are like, I love when my game stores are gigabytes because it means it's massive. It's like, no, it does not mean
That's
that.
not
It's
what
not
it
a good, no. You tell me right now with the modern Call
Call
of
of Duty
games,
broke
that's
people
like,
out. Having
those are
250
those
gigs.
are above 100 gigabytes. Like, that makes sense. Because I'll tell you right now, it doesn't. It's a weird thing in general. But yeah, I mean, I guess like these details, does that get you guys any more excited for the game? I mean, there was a lot more, like I said, but we don't want to talk about it.
I mean,
It's already still like the
not-
most anticipated game.
I was just saying, I don't know
I'm
if I
hyped
can
for
get
it.
more excited.
But it does kind of suck, in my opinion, that Vincent isn't playable, given that you meet Vincent pretty early on after you after you leave Midgard. Like, he is not that far ahead after that. I feel like
He's
they
probably much
coulda made
farther in
him-
this game.
Is he?
It depends. Yeah, he's not that far in the original. But if they change
Because
it,
I got the
I
gold
could see it.
saucer and I didn't find him. Oh, but he
you
was
can, so
optional.
you can actually, yeah, you can straight up miss Vincent. Which is
Yeah,
hilarious.
Vincent and that was a big thing. Vincent and Yuffie, they want to say like, oh, they're no longer optional. They're going to be part of the main
Well, you
story.
feel
which
like
is
they kind of
overall
throw
a
Yuffie
big
in your
W.
face in the original. Doing that, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she's technically optional. And also, Kate Sith, baby, that's the best party member. Why the fuck would you
also,
want to play
something you didn't
Vincent?
mention, but I know it got revealed earlier. They did say that Sid and I forgot the name of the plane, but the plane's gonna be there. Not the Highwind, the other plane that he has. But they didn't say if he's
Bronco.
playable or not. So yeah,
The
yeah, the
Bronco.
Bronco.
Oh,
All
hell
this just
yeah.
means is because they compared him to Red 13 in Remake, who wasn't playable. He was just AI controlled, which probably means Vincent and those others are probably going to be main party controllable in the next game.
Yeah, exactly.
But
That's
it just
what I
sucks
was
that he's not
assuming.
playable here.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
Vincent
really
looks
funny
cool.
when people get
I'll
to
give it up.
see. Vincent is amazing, but it's gonna be really funny when people get to see how Vincent plays. Because it's not what a lot of people expect.
And man, as long as he plays like he does, as long as he plays like he does in Dirge of Cerberus, the best Final Fantasy game.
We don't talk about that game for a reason.
Moving on to our next story. Kind of a TGS roundup, if you will. The first big thing is the Xbox show. Dark, did you watch this one live? I forget. I know Bench did. but
No, it was at like
dead.
5 a.m. for Eastern
What?
people.
No,
Yes, it was.
I'm asking for the sake
he
of
felt
asking.
disrespected right there. He said,
Bro
"Why
was
would you
mad
ask
at
that?"
me.
Here for that?
I'm saying
was like, I
bench
need
did, so I'm like,
sleep.
"Ah, why not?"
Ben
said, "I'm not
stood up
a-
because he wanted
I'm
an
not a
excuse to play
dweeb."
Baldur's Gate. And that wasn't.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Yeah, if you guys wanted Bench's review, he literally said, "It's a D, not a very good conference."
yeah, I agree.
So
with
it's like, I'm
that.
glad he stayed up for that.
The weirdest thing
Uh,
about it was I saw Bench talk about like right before it happened, and apparently GameSpot or one of the other ones like started the stream like an hour and a half early, so most of it aired before the initial runtime, and then they like cut it
Oh,
off.
that's good. That is funny.
Yikes.
That's what I would watch.
And I guess I'll talk about these Game Pass deals. So they got some Game Pass stuff. Ace Attorney Trilogy, that's going to go on Game Pass on 26th of September. Play those games. They're fucking masterpieces. Miniko's Night Market, not sure what that is. Like a Dragon Gaiden, that's going to be day one Game Pass, which is actually a pretty big get. Persona 5 Tactica, that's going to be day one Game Pass. We already knew about that. Same with Persona 3 Reload. Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, I think we also knew about that.
Yeah, that when they first announced the
yeah.
game, it was announced as like an Xbox Game Pass, like big deal.
Yeah, and then Like a Dragon Ishin, they said later in 2023. They also announced Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy was coming to Xbox Series X. Didn't say anything about Game Pass. They got a date as well. I think it's January 26th.
Yeah.
I don't actually.
It's
have
now
it on
within
me.
that crazy early, like January, February time of a bunch of other million games coming out.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. And then they ended the show with what they were like, yeah, our one more thing. This is gonna get y'all hype. I'll be honest, this isn't it. This Swery 65 and Suda 51's Hotel Barcelona. Okay, here's the thing. I think Suda 51 and Swery are both very interesting developers in the sake. I'm more of a Suda fan. Swery is a very funny character. Deadly Premonition. Watch a playthrough of that game. It is one of the funniest games you will ever see in your life. But Suda 51 is someone I respect. I think he has a lot of awesome ideas. His games kind of require you to be in his headspace almost. I think No More Heroes is a great time. I wish I actually went back and beat it. But like, a lot of his games are very much like his style of games, what he wants from a game. I'll tell you right now, Hotel Barcelona, I look at this trailer, doesn't look very good.
No, something about the animations of the characters just look really off.
It looks cheaper than Suda and Swery games usually do. Those games are always very cheap looking. It's part of their charm, but like this one looks even worse somehow. I don't know why. They're very Western focused game, like kind of like Japanese games, but like take a lot of inspiration from like Western media, movies and comics and all that shit. And like I really respect Suda 51's work, but like I don't know, I'm not excited for this one at all. I hope it's good. I'm not feeling it. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for Xbox's show. Capcom also had a show, not mostly updates as they were saying. I think the big one though I wanted to talk about, Dragon's Dogma 2 had a gameplay deep dive. I watched the whole thing. It looks phenomenal. Who else saw the Dragon's Dogma 2 gameplay?
I watched it.
I watched it.
Yeah, I mean, how are you guys feeling? That looks great.
I think it looked like the more like I'm very excited. I know the first game has like this cult following, like people think it's like one of the best RPGs of the last 2 decades, like all this stuff. So like I'm pretty excited for this, and it just makes me want to play like the original to like see
Same.
what the franchise is about. Like everything they showed, like I like the fast traveling thing where you like get in the cart and then like you can be attacked while like technically fast traveling and have to get out and like do I don't know. I thought they showed some cool stuff off in the gameplay.
Yeah, there was a lot of details. Okami Games kind of did a big deep dive. Have up to 3 AI-controlled pawns. That was a big thing in Dragon's Dogma 1 that they're very much bringing back. Choose from 4 starting vocations, can be changed or combined later. 2 main kingdoms, Vermund, the human kingdom, and Batal, the beast kingdom. Hunt large monsters like trolls and griffins. You can grab on and climb to their weak spot. A full day-night cycle. Exploring at night is really dangerous. Pitch black darkness returns. Stronger monsters appear at night. And I actually wanted to point that out. The dark, like it being dark at night, it genuinely is very much pitch black. Like you watch the gameplay, like you see a lot of games, it's like, oh, it's nighttime. Here, man, it is dark outside.
I don't recall. Actually, I kind of do recall the darkness in the trailer.
Yeah, there was the darkness, and the enemies they emphasized were like a lot stronger in the dark.
I just know there was I already blanked on what I was about to say. There was some enemy though that I thought that was really cool, and I just lost it.
Was it the? I know what you're talking. Is it the Chimera?
Oh yeah,
That thing looked awesome.
I couldn't remember. I was like, I could not remember that name. I was not going to remember that.
No, chimeras. I feel like chimeras are a really underutilized fantasy creature, so I'm very happy that this game has one.
It just looks, and like visually, I was really impressed with like how it looked. Like it's a Capcom game, so it's going to look good because every Capcom game, like visually for the most part, looks really good. But like, what is this running on what engine is this?
I actually don't know. I think
Is
it's
it the
a
RE engine?
if it's the RE engine, there's no. Hang on, I'm gonna search this.
Hold on, we're gonna Google this
RE
right
engine
now.
is built different, bro.
That engine is fucking insane.
That's what I mean. That's like I don't know.
RE engine. Yep, it's RE
Okay,
engine.
well,
Damn.
That goes to show just how versatile that thing is.
I was gonna say because it looked visually really good, and like Resident Evil games and that RE engine is like phenomenal. So I'm like, I assumed it was RE engine, but I wasn't sure.
And then just to real quick finish up, bring camping kits to camp out at campsites, advanced vocation, combine aspects of the 4 main classes, and then they talk about the magic archer, and then confirm for PS5, Series X and S, Steam, no release date. That's kind of the interesting thing. What do you expect like this game's gonna release? My viewpoint is kind of like late 2024. Like I think it's 2024, but like later in the year.
This could be late. For some reason, it doesn't give me fall vibes. It gives me a late summer, like August. I don't know,
It better
like
after how many other
there.
games is coming out early 2024.
Like, this could be like August. I know there's one thing. I'm pretty sure the AI pawns is what this talks about. But I know like in Dragon's Dogma, you can like have those AI pawns or something. You can like have friends characters basically in your game as AIs.
Yeah.
So like I
That's
assume that is back in this, but yeah, that's cool that like
I assume.
like if we all had the game, I could take Moon's character and put him in my party and like I don't know.
You're gonna make me take all your hits for you.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
the
what I'm
human
gonna
shield.
do.
It's such a cool mechanic in general. Just I feel like I look at this game and it's like basically a bunch of people who were obsessed with like fantasy and D&D decided to make a video game, and it's like I love that. Just like true Nobra, like just pure fantasy, respect to fantasy as a genre, and I love that stuff.
I'm
I'm definitely gonna be an archer.
I was the archer looks really
warrior.
good, but I don't know what. I'm very happy for the Dragon Dogma's fans because like they've been waiting for like
Oh,
something
yeah.
for, like every single year a Capcom conference comes out, they're like, oh, Dragon Dogma's 2 coming.
This
and, like,
is the
it
one,
never
guys.
has, and like it finally did, and like this probably feels like they're on cloud 9, like seeing these gameplay trailers and like the game's actually like here and like it should come out next year is pretty cool.
Exactly. Very exciting. Another game that we're very excited about, at least me and Moon are, Like a
Yeah,
Dragon
not me.
Infinite Wealth. Okay, Fusion. You
I'm
had to
kidding. I'm kidding. I kind of want to get into
Play like a dragon, damn it.
Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth got a release date, January 26, 2024. It came with a trailer as well. I didn't watch the trailer because I heard there were spoilers in it. Moon, did you?
Yeah, the 10-minute story trailer. I will say
10
there's
minutes?
it's a 10-minute trailer.
And there's segues in it. That's all I know.
Yeah, there's segues. There's only I don't know what they're talking about regarding the spoilers, but seems to be I know one thing, so I won't say it just in case. I won't say it's a huge spoiler, but at the same time, it is something that's out of left field that you don't expect for the story to do with this character that it's about. I don't know if you've heard who it's about. But besides that spoiler part, it looks very cool, and it wasn't in the trailer, but like some screenshot that came out. It looks like there's gonna be a boss fight against a giant shark, like Jaws style, where he's like on the boat. That looks amazing, and I want to do that so bad.
Oh yeah, that thing looks sick.
It's actually really funny with the trailer too. You spend like 8 to 9 minutes of this 10-minute trailer being like really serious, getting the nitty gritty of the story. I will say, outside of the one spoiler thing that everyone's talking about, the 10 minutes actually doesn't give many spoilers away of the overall story. It gives you the setup of like why is Ichiban in Hawaii, why Kiryu is in Hawaii, and a bunch of other things.
Whoa. No, I'm kidding. It's all the promotional stuff.
Yeah, the initial CG trailer showed that Kiryu was in it. But besides that, it gives you all the initial setup, but it doesn't give away anything else outside of the one thing that everyone's talking about. And then, like, the last, like, minute and a half of trailer is, like, all the goofy Yakuza shit. Like, there's Ichiban paragliding and doing mini games, karaoke. It's so funny to, like,
Karaoke's back!
all this, like, serious drama stuff and fighting the Yakuza in Hawaii. And then all of a sudden, oh, yeah, let's go party.
I love how it's in Hawaii. That's such an awesome idea for a setting. Like, I love the idea of taking Yakuza to like other settings. Like, the next one, let's do it in Chicago. Fuck it, we're just going all over the world.
We just have to explain how Ichiban gets there.
Yeah.
And the very last shot of the trailer, it's not a spoiler or anything, but it's very much them saying, like, my time is over. It's Ichiban, you're the main character now. It's like, you couldn't ham fist like this message that they're saying in this trailer. Like, Ichiban's the new main character of Yakuza.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a fun scene, I think.
Was Like a Dragon a reboot? Or not
It's a
reboot,
soft
like
reboot, yeah.
It's a soft reboot in terms of like the character and like,
they switched from Kiryu as the main character to this Ichiban character, who they introduce and make the new main character. It's still like in the same timeline, like it's following the timeline taking place after Yakuza 6, but it switches to a new main character, new part of Tokyo, and he's just now the new main character. And it switches from the beat 'em up games to now this turn-based RPG style.
You go from the garbage gameplay to somewhat adequate gameplay. That's all I'll say. Because the beat 'em up gameplay fucking sucks. I will stand on this hill. I will die on this hill. Yakuza 0, great game. Other than that fucking combat being absolute bottom of the barrel combat system.
So because of this, everyone's saying like you can play Yakuza Like a Dragon standalone because it's such a big soft reboot. And that's what I did too. Like I haven't played 0 or 6. I've only played 7, and you're outside of some cool cameos and moments, which obviously long Yakuza fans would appreciate. It's like you can go into this game completely blind.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, because I looked it up to see like how many games I would have to play.
It's rough.
And it's like eight entire Yakuzas like to get here.
Yeah, and it's even rougher because 3 and 4, I think, is what the ones people keep saying, have like aged
4
the
and
worst.
5.
Oh, is it 4 and 5?
4. Yeah, people do not like 4 and 5.
Yeah, so they've aged the worst, and even like some Yakuza fans can say, like, you can play 0 and 6 and be all caught up because apparently 6 does a lot of recapping of the other 5 games in the franchise. So if you really want to play the franchise, just do 0 and 6.
Yeah, I see a lot of people say 0, 1, 0, Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2, then 6. Or no, watch a story recap for 3. Don't even play 4 or 5. Don't even watch story recaps. Just watch a story recap for 3, and then 6, and then Like a Dragon. And that's that's so many games in and of itself. Like genuinely, just start with Like a Dragon. Like I tried 0, I got like half of way through. As I said, I really hate the combat in that game.
What was Like a Dragon Gaiden or Gaiden? Whatever.
Gaiden is basically the like in between game for Yakuza 6
and 7
and 6 and 8. Or is it 7? No,
I think it's between 6 and 7. I could be wrong.
Well, it's a tie-in game. Basically, it's like, what was Kiryu doing?
Yeah, what was Kiryu doing after 6?
Exactly.
And then this Ishin game is just like some weird alternate timeline spin-off thing.
A lot of confusing stuff.
Confusion. I know this is a big thing for you. All the Yakuza games are subbed up until Yakuza Like a Dragon. That was the first one they got a full dub cast for.
Okay.
Well, no, I think the Kiwami games have a dub.
Is it?
I think so, because
I know the original Yakuza 1 has a dub, which is funny as hell because Mark Hamill plays Majima.
Yeah, I was about to say, okay, so it was the original, not Kiwami. Okay.
Yeah. So I know that's like a thing for a lot of people. They prefer to play their games dubbed. So yeah, Like a Dragon is the only one of the modern games that have it dubbed.
And it's a great dub. It has Detective Pikachu.
It's a really good dub. Like, no joke, the dub is genuinely amazing.
Yeah, Kaiji Tang as Ichiban is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think you'd be into it.
I think so. It's super goofy.
Guy, Fusion. Yeah, like I know you're not big on JRPGs, but I feel like this one.
The gameplay is super basic JRPG stuff.
Yeah, like it's not too hard. Enemies aren't that spongy, except for like maybe a couple bosses, but even then, like it is very easy to cheese that game.
So let's say I start the franchise. You're saying to start at like
Just play like,
Like
a
a
Dragon.
a Dragon. You don't
And
think
you
it
don't
would
have to
be
play the others.
cool to start at 0-6, then like a Dragon? Like if
You
I
could
wanted
if
to
you
go
want
that
to
far back?
dedicate the time. If you want to dedicate the time to do it, then sure, why not? Because then it will make certain moments. Because 7 has these certain moments that are big, like payoff things for longtime fans, seeing older characters because they do pop up in 7. But they explain them well enough in 7 standalone to be like, okay, yeah, this is a important character from the franchise. But
Yeah,
obviously,
Zero
if you've
Story.
played the games, you get more out of it.
Zero Story was really good from what I played. Like that was genuinely the thing keeping me along. Is like the actual writing of that game is really strong. I just wonder how you would feel personally about the gameplay as well, because I'm a big whiny baby about that.
Okay. I'll keep it in the back of the mind.
Keep it in the back of the mind. That's all we need. Because Like a Dragon genuinely is such a phenomenal game. Moving on, this is a pretty interesting story. Square Enix wants to upgrade some existing IPs. Square Enix wants to upgrade some existing IPs to AAA status. Square Enix president Takashi Kiryu has said he hopes to boost profitability by revitalizing the company's high-definition game segment. The Japanese publisher divides its digital entertainment business into 3 units: HD games, MMOs, and games for smart devices or browser-based titles. During a Q&A session held at the beginning of August, a transcript of which has been uploaded today, Kiryu said the company was currently examining its HD games pipeline. I want to improve our profitability, he responded. I see ample room for improvement in our operating profit margin and would like to start working primarily on our HD games. In addition, rather than solely attempting to create brand new IPs, we intend to take a nuanced approach to investment whereby we also identify existing IPs with the potential to be upgraded to AAA status, taking ROI into account as well. And so, in doing so, we hope to establish greater depth to the layers of our portfolio. Dark, I wanted to immediately ask you, like, what IPs could he be talking about? Like, what
Nier.
is even considered that is? I feel like that's considered AAA.
It's not.
I feel
It's
like
not. It's not AAA.
that's considered AAA.
Nier is.
Come on.
It's not. It had a small budget
Why
for
isn't it?
It's not good
because of
enough.
the budget size.
Okay, Fusion.
Don't you start.
That was bait. That was bait. That was bait.
Classic bait. You gotta respect the Fusion
But
bait. All right.
Nier is 100% the one that should get. It's the best one that they have out of everything else that they have besides. What the fuck's the game that's coming to Xbox from TGS? I can't remember right now. Looking blanking.
Xenogears.
Octopath or Xenogears?
No,
Octopath, yeah.
Xenogears, they cannot touch, and I can tell you a few reasons why. One is gonna be really weird if they bring back Xenogears and Nintendo has Xenoblade and owns that whole thing. So I don't know what type of legal trouble they're gonna get into with that. And Xenogears was made with Takahashi. There's no way you can do it without him, or it just wouldn't work. It's like doing a Kojima game without Kojima. Is one of those situations. I don't see him touching Xenogears. I mean, they could.
They
but
did
it's
Metal
not gonna
Gear
be good.
Survive without Kojima.
Have they done anything else?
Yeah, Metal Gear Survive was awesome. Hey, we're getting that collection, baby. 30 FPS.
But I think Nier is 100% the go-to for this. And make everything multi-plat. Stop doing exclusivity. It's not working for you. That's about it.
Yeah, no, I agree there. And they could. Hey, I mean, there's the Valkyria Profile franchise.
I haven't really looked into that much. I don't know that much about it to really have a comment on about. But I'll take your word for it if you're being serious.
I played Elysium. It's okay. I think it's clear that they didn't give that game a very big budget. I don't think they're talking about Valkyria because it's like I don't think Elysium did well at all. Nobody played that game.
Look, all I know is
I
that
can't think of any others.
after Yoko Taro is done with this mobile game that he is committed to for whatever reason, give this man whatever budget he asks for to do a game. That's gonna sell.
He's gonna. They're gonna give him like, hey, you can have as many millions as you want. It's like I think the next Nier game, I only want a $20 budget. I'm gonna see what I could do with that. It's like, hey, you know what? Let him
It'll
cook.
be the best game of all time.
Moving on. Just a small update in regards to Elder Scrolls 6. Shinobi has this on Twitter. Elder Scrolls 6 won't release on PlayStation. Shocking. And will be exclusive to Xbox according to court documents. The title is expected to launch sometime after 2026. Actually, they say sometime after 2026 specifically.
And yeah, when the game drops in 2030, it'd be exclusive. At this point, if you didn't know this at this point, I don't know what to tell
It's
you.
not shocking at
It's
all.
not coming.
It's-
It's not
it
coming.
wasn't gonna. Yeah, I mean, I would want
Yeah,
it to come to PlayStation. It's not gonna.
As a proud Xbox fan, this is shocking.
As a huge Xbox fan, Mr. sold it last month.
Okay, I guess if you want a conversation about this, I am kind of disappointed that it is exclusive because I feel like in my headspace, I feel like it would have been better if all existing IPs that they had would have continued to be multiplat, and then whatever something new comes out that they make, that'll be exclusive. But I get why they're making it exclusive, you know, if you really want to have a conversation about it. But this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. It's the most common sense thing to do.
You have to make it exclusive. Like you
Yeah.
don't buy
Exactly.
you don't buy them and then just not make.
You make
it
Starfield exclusive, but
Yeah,
not
like-
Elder Scrolls 6. Like that's just
So
a
that's what I
weird
was saying.
thing.
Starfield's a brand new
a
IP.
new IP. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
can
and
see
it's
what
got
Doug's
like
saying.
10 million.
That's my argument, at least. I don't know. Like, I know, like, money-wise is not the best idea. That's just like I feel kind of bad if you're a really big fan of Elder Scrolls on PS. Yeah, it's gonna suck ass in 2036. But you know, besides that,
Listen, as a huge Skyrim fan, I'll say the Skyrim initial launch on PS3, that version was horrible.
Xbox Game Pass will be on PlayStation by the time this game comes out. So
that is a possibility, because they talked about that in the court documents. I'm not sure if you guys read that one, but yeah, it was.
They definitely want it to happen. I will say,
It's still questioning if it'll work.
I'm still upset because Elder Scrolls 6 won't be on PlayStation. The only reason is because I won't be able to earn trophies in that game.
they're doing no
No,
platinum.
you'll
for
get
you.
you'll get your achievements.
Achievements
Ew.
aren't the same.
So
You don't
gross.
get a platinum trophy.
Did
You don't get a
and, like,
platinum
I mean, you can
achievement.
get
There
a
was
platinum
some-
trophy, but if you don't get the 100% indicator, and it doesn't count.
It's
Okay.
just
In
it's
game,
like,
There
if it
was
oh
doesn't
yeah,
count,
something
I know.
there
Sorry,
was
go
something
ahead.
a while ago that Xbox was looking into getting some kind of like 100% completion reward, like a
Put
platinum
it
trophy.
in.
So yeah,
Put
they
it
just.
They're working
I'm
on
pretty
that,
sure it's
right?
on their list somewhere.
How is
Like,
it taking so long?
Every Xbox achievement is somehow rare. Like every time I get an achievement on Xbox, it's like rare. 5% of players have this. It's like
I like
do
that it
these
tells you
players
how
just
many
not,
people have it.
like do these people not play the game?
It's the same
Like why
with
is it rare?
PlayStation.
I remember when I beat CS Stars, it said like 0.03% of players. I'm like,
It's
I'm
like,
the top
can anyone
1%, bro.
play this game?
To
Well,
be
you
fair,
also
I beat
beat
it
in like a
within,
day, so
yeah.
that makes sense.
Again, upset. Like it's just like, oh man, I got 1,000 gamer score versus I got a platinum trophy. Like, come on, which one sounds more raw? That's all I'm saying.
Okay, to be fair though, if you have, I'm not sure what PlayStation does, but I know on Xbox, if you make it to a million gamer score, they give you like gold, and now it's Game Pass for life. It's something
You
to
don't
work
get any-
towards.
You don't even
You
get
do get
a
it.
freaking. You don't even get an email from Jim Ryan for getting us. There was that guy who had like all those platinum trophies. I didn't see a single tweet from like PlayStation like, "Hey man, good shit." They ignored him, left him on red. I was
You get
so
a
disrespected.
physical card and everything too, a gold card if you game tag. That's pretty
They're
dope.
like
Game Pass
they're
for
like,
life, that's
touch
insane.
grass.
Disrespectful. Moving on. This is a pretty quick story. Criterion Games joining EA Entertainment to work on the Battlefield series and continue work on the next Need for Speed from Mario 64. Hi everyone. Today I'd like to share that the talented team at Criterion Game will be joining EA Entertainment. Criterion has a rich history in gaming, having worked on Battlefield, Battlefront, Burnout, and of course Need for Speed. I'm thrilled to have a studio with such pedigree join the studios I oversee. I mean, does this new story surprise you guys? Like, a lot of studio collaboration amongst studios that are under EA. That's not too surprising. It is Criterion isn't a name you hear about as much. They very much are like their own like thing. They do their stuff. I'm interested to see where this goes. I hope the next Battlefield is better than 2042. That's really it.
It'll be like 20. It's gonna be called like Battlefield 2044.
2044.
It's all.
It'd be
I'm
called
pretty sure.
Battlefield 1.5.
I'm pretty
Fusion
sure
had
the
that
leaks.
joke pre-written.
No, it wasn't a joke. It was. I'm being dead serious. I'm pretty sure the leaks.
Wait, actually?
Yeah, no, I don't think that will be the title, but the leaks are. It's just going to be like, not a reboot of 2042, but like trying to like
Near
do
future.
yes, like
Keep the
near
near
future
future
again,
stuff.
like basically do what they did with that game, but make it actually good. Like that's been the rumors and leaks for a while now.
That make it actually good. Oh man, this is gonna
Make
be
a good
tough.
game.
Yeah, like,
It's so hard
crazy.
to do.
That's why 2042 failed. They didn't put that on the docket.
They left Star Wars Battlefront for this.
Oh, they should.
And they
So
had
is
a big
Battlefront.
audience. And they had the
Battlefront
game
2.
is so fucking.
It is
That
so
story
weird
behind
because
it is
Battlefront
crazy.
2 had this huge resurgence. Everyone was playing like this game's
They
awesome,
fixed the game.
and then EA was like, all right, pack it up. That's enough. No more new updates. It's like, why? You clearly have a
Man,
big
this
hit
game
on
was
your
dead.
hands.
It was one of the best. If you look into the story, it's one of the best like resurgence stories I've ever seen. Besides like Final Fantasy
No Man's
14 and now
Sky.
Cyberpunk, it's up there.
No,
And-
don't say Cyberpunk. No. I still have
I'm
the
saying
worst scars.
Cyberpunk. But anyway, they revived the game, and then as soon as everybody was super hype about it, they're like, "Now we're going to Battlefield." It makes no
It's
sense.
so
This is what they
weird.
do with it.
Yeah. I really.
This is why you
I
don't
don't
turn
know.
your back on Star Wars fans. It's a curse.
Exactly. I mean, I don't really have a horse in this race. I'm not really I've always preferred Call of Duty over Battlefield, but like it's still
Oh,
like
same.
I want it to do well.
So I've tried to get into Battlefield. That's not for me. I've tried it
Same.
actually recently. It was like 4 months back. I tried like all of them.
Skill
And,
issue.
yeah, I couldn't. It's
It's
not like I was
just
playing the campaign. I wasn't dying or anything. It just didn't look okay.
Skill issue. No, I tried playing like Battlefield 1. I just hate how stiff Battlefield feels. Like it's
Battlefield
not as tight
definitely
as Call
feels
of Duty.
more. Yeah, it definitely does. I will agree.
It's
with
more
that.
like
And
simulation, I guess.
It's all like hyper realistic. Like if you were to shoot a bullet into the air, it has the arc. I'm like, I don't want to be dealing with this.
And Call of Duty's
But
like fucking yeah, you shot the dude. Go
Straight
for
ass
it.
bullets.
the shoot,
Exactly.
but the shooting genre is at its best when Battlefield and Call of Duty are like co-competing.
Exactly. I mean, look at like Battlefield 3 versus Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. That
This
was
is
a
why Call of
huge
Duty
deal
has
back
been
then.
so shit for so fucking long.
Exactly.
They got too cocky and
No
comfortable.
competition. Yeah.
Although I do want to say, I do like what Call of Duty's doing now with the collabs. Keep that up. That's pretty cool shit. I'm not playing
that's
it,
cool
but it's
stuff.
cool as fuck to see.
Not playing it, but hey, it's cool. Moving on, we got a pretty quick story here. Glenn Schofield is leaving striking distance after the Callisto Protocol misfired. This comes from Tom Ivan over at VGC. A Krafton representative told Bloomberg Schofield has decided to pursue new opportunities and that Striking Distance's chief operating officer and chief financial officer are also leaving the company voluntarily. Pretty
Gee, I wonder
much.
why.
I wonder why. Yeah, I mean, clearly that game did not do anything near their expectations. I remember it sold like around 2.5 mil at launch, and that wasn't their expectations. They were like, "Yeah, we were expecting 5 mil." It's like for a new IP, and the reason is that the budget for the game was fucking massive. It's like, why were you going so giant on a budget for a game that has no established audience? Like, if you were doing this for Dead Space 4, that would make more sense. But like, this is a new IP. Like, you can't just say like, well, it's the previous creator of Dead Space. It looks like Dead Space. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't have the name Dead Space. So people aren't going to buy it nearly as much as if it was Dead Space. It's just weird that they decided to go so hard on the budget for a game that didn't have an established audience for a brand new studio. It's a wild situation. And Glenn, I feel like he means well, but also I think he's just extremely overambitious. And clearly that showed with Callisto Protocol. The game wasn't. I played through it. It's not very good. So, unfortunate situation all around.
I will say
You
I
guys
don't
have
think
nothing.
I don't think the game is as bad as just like it's not a type of game where you have to leave your studio behind. Like it was not that big of a
Exactly.
fail. Like it was like some people like the game. Like it wasn't like a terribly rated video game.
It-
Like some people enjoy it, but it's just like it's
It was the
weird that he kind
financial
of
failure.
it's weird that they kind of jumped ship. I'm gonna call my shot. I think he is going to be in the PlayStation portfolio doing something. I don't know what, but I do think he's going to join PlayStation.
Bro said, man, you know what? That's where all the creative
Deviation
visionaries go
Nope,
to
Studios.
die.
this is not. This is not. This is
You know, to
just
join all
It's gonna
those
do a
live service
deviation.
games they're making.
like I just it's written on the walls. He's been working with PlayStation for years in Call of Duty, and then in Callisto Protocol, PlayStation had a big they helped with that game. It just feels like if he stays in the industry, who knows?
I think he just
Deviation needs the people,
retires.
bro. There you go.
Yeah, Deviation needs all the help, but like, yeah, no, I think he just leaves. I think he's retiring at this
Just
point.
out.
Yeah, because he's had a long career. I think he has like more than enough money, especially after leaving the studio. He probably left with like a golden parachute, and it's like, okay, I've done what I can. Like, yeah, Callisto was a failure. Hopefully, hopefully, Striking Distance survives. I wouldn't be surprised if we see in the news soon Striking Distance shuts down as well.
How about he just goes back to Call of Duty?
That's I don't know. Hey guys, I'm coming back to Call of Duty. Dude, the
Miss
ship's
me?
already on fire. The ship's already on fire. There's not much you can help here. He only
Yeah.
worked on like one Call of Duty. I think he just did
I
Advanced
mean,
Warfare,
yeah, it
and that's it.
was. Well, he co-founded Sledgehammer.
Yeah, it was like he co-founded the studio, made one Call of Duty. Sledgehammer was also very involved with Modern Warfare 3, but it's also funny. It's just like, oh yeah, we did Advanced Warfare. All right, see you guys.
Yeah. He
Moving
leaves a
on.
lot, is what we're getting at. It seems like he's always
Yeah,
leaving something.
it's
So,
he's a talented guy. Like Dead Space, the
I mean,
original,
yeah,
that
he
game
has.
is extremely
Like, he's
impressive.
one of. I feel like he's not like no Kojima level known, but like people know
No.
his name like in the industry. Like he's one of the people who like you hear Glenn Schofield, you know his name at least. Like you know at least somewhat of the dude.
I recommend watching the Ars Technica video where they interviewed Glenn Schofield. It's very high quality, and you learn a lot of insight about like the development of the original Dead Space. Moving on. Fusion, this is another story for you. This comes from Jason Trier over on Twitter. Who needs E3? Here's Ubisoft announcing the Division 3 via press release, old school title. And he links this as part of Ubisoft's ongoing commitment to grow its globally recognized brands. Ubisoft is happy to announce that Julian Goretti has been appointed as the new executive producer for the billion-dollar brand Tom Clancy's The Division. As executive producer, Julian Goretti will oversee all the Division games and products, including Tom Clancy's The Division 3. He literally said that as a footnote. I was expecting it to be like a big unveil, but it's like, including Division 3. I mean, you know, who knows? Which they also mentioned led by Massive Entertainment. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that wild announcement?
I think for one, Division's a good franchise, so it's cool that they're making a third one. But I think it's weird that I feel like Division has the slaying power to like be a E3 announcement or like a press conference announcement. It's very weird that this was just like a Twitter press release, like, oh, we're making this game, by the way, because I feel like this like Division is a known franchise where people would see this logo or something and they would get excited at a press conference or an event or like even the Game Awards. If it's dropped at the Game Awards, it would be a talking point. So it's very weird that they just like we're making this game like on a
It
random
wasn't even like
Wednesday.
it wasn't even like a recruitment post or anything. It was just a press release.
Yeah, it was
It's just,
very odd.
they were hyping up this Giretti guy, and they were like, oh yeah, and also Division 3. It's like, what? This is the weirdest announcement.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I'm excited for it. I think like I said, I think the Division are good games. Well, hopefully, like this one, hopefully they learn after 2 games like what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, I really hope so. Yeah, I mean, because Division 2, I played a bit of that game, and I really love the setting, like Washington, D.C. And I thought it was fun enough for what it was, but also, like, even in 2019, I was like, I'm kind of getting tired of these
Yeah.
looter
I
games.
they definitely need like a revamp somehow, but like their set pieces are always so good. They had like really good set pieces in the first game in New York, and then like as you refer to the Washington D.C. and Division 2, like you're going through the museums and like the space museums and all that, and you're having really cool firefights and like these iconic American places. So I don't know where a third game would take place.
I don't know, Chicago. That's like the second time I've mentioned Chicago as a location. I think I'm just
I don't know.
surprised more games don't take place there.
I really hope they don't do like Los Angeles, and for some reason I feel like
If
that
it's
would
Los
be the
Angeles,
next
that's
step
so
would be like
boring.
LA or something. I just don't know where, like Boston. I don't know.
Give me a game in Texas. I feel like Texas isn't a utilized location in games enough. Like Dallas, Fort Worth, that'd be sick.
Hey, you got that El Paso game coming out soon.
I do.
It's a game called El Paso Elsewhere.
Oh well.
Wow, you know what, Texas boys, we win yet again.
It's a third-person shooter, because of course it is.
Oh, shocker.
Oh, sounds like the Division 3.
Moving on. I didn't mean to set you up, Fusion. This is another Fusion story. Evil Dead the game no longer receiving content. This is an open letter that they put on Twitter to the Evil Dead the game community. Today we have made the decision not to pursue the development of new content for Evil Dead the game. We also confirm that we will not be releasing a Nintendo Switch version of the game fuck, dude. I was looking forward to that. We will keep the servers up for the foreseeable future and address any major issues that arise. On behalf of the entire team at Saber, thank you all for the groovy times and your continued support. I think this is like Fusion's the only one who played this game. That's why I say it's a Fusion story. But I also kind of opens up the discussion. It's like this game came out this year, didn't it? So it's like
No,
these
last year.
lives. Oh, did it? Well, still,
Yeah.
like it very much adds to the conversation of these live service games are like going down quicker and quicker. It feels.
They last mostly a year now, like on average. Because I think this one was about 12 to 14 months, if I remember correctly.
The servers are still up, but still, like
It came out May in 2022. I'm almost certain.
Oh yeah, so about a year and a half.
I will say that I thought this game was already dead. So, like, I thought this game like died a while ago. So it's actually, I'm happy that it went longer than I thought it would. To be honest.
I'll be real. I thought this came out this year. I was so adamant it came out.
No,
I think I got it confused with just Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, probably. It was definitely like it's one of those games. Yeah, I would say it's one of those like multiplayer 4v1s, like whatever. Like it is that type of game.
Asymmetrical multiplayer. I think actually my least favorite genre.
They did this game really well because it's like this is gonna sound stupid, but it's like the Souls like of this genre. Like this game is hard. Like it's one of the only games where I'm like in this genre where I'm like, if your friends suck, you can't win a single game. Like if everyone has to be on top of their game, like really good, or you're never going to win. Like it's not, you can't carry anyone in this video game. Like it's very hard. And it was really fun. Like the combat was fun. Yeah, Souls like was an overused word, but like I couldn't think of something.
No, it's just funny. No, I get what you mean.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. I never knew like it was getting content. Like I assumed it was gonna get content, but I didn't know like they had multiple like content drops in and stuff because I never went back. Like I put like 15 to 20 hours in the first like 2 weeks with my friends, and then they
that's a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, I put a decent amount of hours in there, but like because I also bought it at launch for like full price, so I forget how much it was, but so I never came back to it to see how the game was like anytime this year, but it's still sad to see because who made this game? Do you remember?
I can search it up real quick. Saber.
Saber. Saber. Okay. I don't know what else they're gonna move on to, but
it just seems like all these games just can't tackle Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight is just too strong.
Yeah, they're all chasing the Dead by. They're all like chasing Dead by Daylight, but they won't copy the exact thing Dead by Daylight does. So they put their own spin on the things, but the spin never works. So I don't know.
Did you like Dead by Daylight?
I love Dead by Daylight.
Oh man, you don't want to hear my thoughts on the game then.
I mean, just move on. If you didn't like it, it's fine. But like, I have like 70 hours in Dead by Daylight.
I think it's actually like top 10 least favorite games for me. So I don't know.
I wasn't like, did you play it solo? Like, if you don't have a good
played with friends.
Well, your friend group just must not be great.
No, they are obsessed with that game, and they're like, "Yo, you should play it with us." And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And I played for like a week, and I'm like, "Guys, I'm gonna be real. I hate this so much."
It also has like a higher learning curve than most people think. Like they go in there and think they're just gonna like, if you don't want to sit there and learn,
skill issue.
No, I'm not saying
it called you out your skill issue.
But like, if you're going in there just expecting like a Call of Duty public match, like to know what to do, all this stuff, like it's going to be less fun because it takes a lot of like actually working together. Not as much as Evil Dead did. Like you can actually solo carry in Dead by Daylight if you're good enough, but there's still a lot of things to the game that you're just never going to learn unless you're playing it a lot or people are teaching you.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I do like if you like Dead by Daylight, I totally respect it. I think it's just the genre I really don't like.
Yeah, I can see that. The crossovers are awesome though. Like every other month, those has some sick.
Dude, Nick Cage.
I know they have like so many things in it now.
Not even Nick Cage in this movie, just Nick Cage. That is fucking hilarious to me. Moving on to what we've been playing, I will mention, I forgot to mention this earlier, Cyber did have to dip, had to deal with a personal issue. But yeah, shout outs to him, he did great. I will say also, Benji decided to throw this into the dock. Beat the Pokemon DLC, and it's such a downgrade. This is Benji Bop, by the way. Beat the Pokemon DLC, and it's such a downgrade technically and story-wise from the main game. It's insane. I hate this stupid company. I hate giving them money, but here I am. Oh well. Have a great show, guys.
And just like Phil Spencer, he ends his message with a smiley face.
Wow,
Exactly.
that's a good catch, dude. Didn't
Um,
no, Moon didn't beat the Pokemon DLC this
Oh, I
week.
did.
He did.
I did a couple
When
days
did
ago.
I meant this week. Wait, you did this week?
Yeah.
he
Well,
talked about it last week. Do you ever listen?
No.
that's my point. Is like I was gonna ask Moon, like I was gonna segue into that, but then I knew he brought it up last week, so it didn't work. That was where I was getting.
Fusion,
Never
what happened
mind.
to you, man?
I'm
What
just
happened to you,
He fell off.
man?
I'm leaving this company.
Yeah, maybe get your last paycheck first.
True.
I guess I'll start real quick. I beat Fallout New Vegas, and I was talking about this a lot. This is without question one of my favorite games of all time. Now, I am that thing about like all the Redditors liking Fallout New Vegas. Maybe they were right. Maybe they had a point. And I don't want to be that annoying Fallout New Vegas fan, but I genuinely do think like this is easily the best Fallout game. Easily, like this is a top 25 favorite games of all time for me. It broke that barrier, which is really rare for me. Everything that this game did is honestly on a level that like I am surprised modern games are kind of slacking on, especially when it comes to its choice and consequence in its writing. There are the way to put it, there are three major factions and also like a fourth faction, basically like you're on your own base type of deal. The ending of the game, none of the endings are like the good ending. It is completely morally gray. You go with the NCR, the Legion, or if you go with Yes Man, or Mr. House, the Mojave Wasteland, like the like New Vegas, isn't just like, oh, everything's perfect under these guys, but these are the bad guys. So if you get the bad ending, it's that. It's not binary in that aspect. It very much is. All of your decisions, everything that you did throughout the game, has effects on what the ending is. It's very much like a slideshow showing like all the different things that you did throughout the games throughout the game, all the decisions you made, all the choices, like just these little decisions, little moments. And I remember like it was like, oh yeah, this town, they prospered. They did really good under like this rule. But like because of what you did here, this town is basically fucked up now. And it's like all these tiny little choices I made throughout the game. In any other game, they would not even be brought up by the end of the game. But the fact that everything really comes to a head at that finale is something that I think so many games are lacking, especially in the RPG genre. And it's frustrating when you see a lot of Western RPGs as of late just don't have that choice of consequence. And Outer Worlds had it. I just don't think the game itself was a very interesting shell. Like personally for me, it didn't do much for me. But it did have that choice and consequence. And I think Obsidian are so good when it comes to that regard. And I want them to have that Fallout IP again. I really think what they do with the Fallout IP is special. And again, I am a Fallout 4 defender. I think Bethesda has done good under the IP, other than 76. We don't talk about 76. But New Vegas is on a level that I feel like other games really need to catch up to personally. And it's a 13-year-old game. If you go back to this game, I highly recommend it. I think it's aged really well. The one thing I played it on Xbox. I would personally play it on PC with mods, based just small things like fixing some of the bugs because the game is still very buggy. It crashes a lot. So like do some bug stuff, and then add a sprint button. that was something I noticed definitely playing throughout the game. It's like, man, this I could really utilize a sprint button and just like little combat fixes. And even then, like the combat is fun as hell. Like I think it's very fun, especially with bats. I just think New Vegas is a game I think everyone should experience. I genuinely love that game so much. It is one I'll be thinking about a lot after beating it. And it's one I'm definitely going to go back to just to check out those other endings, those other story decisions. I can't recommend it enough. Play New Vegas.
Score one for the Redditors.
Score one for the Redditors.
Reddit always wins. Come on now.
I
They always
hate
win.
them. But I also have been playing. I played a little bit of Party Animals. This is the new Gamepass joint. Came out this week, I think. I don't. I'll be honest, guys. I don't get it. A lot of people seem really positive on it. I think this is the same studio that made Gang Beasts. If someone can fact check me on that. I love Gang Beasts. I think that game is so much fun. And I'll be honest, I didn't play Party Animals with friends. Maybe it's a better experience in that regard. But playing it, I'm like, these controls don't feel nearly as tight as Gang Beasts, or even like I guess like they don't feel as fun as Gang Beasts. It just doesn't feel right, in my opinion. And also, I really fucking hate map vote. I am sick of map vote in games because these fucking glue sniffing children always choose the most basic, boring fucking maps. When the train level was right there in the rotation, I voted for the train level, but they're like, oh, let's just do the basic map that everyone played on 20 times. I'm sick of it. I just think I don't know. I just in general, the game just didn't hook me. I'm gonna try to play some more this weekend, but it's not doing much for me personally. So a lot of people seem very high on it, but for me, nah, not for me. It's no game piece.
Is it like the same? Are you like beating people up?
You're beating animals up, like it basically.
I mean,
Like
as in because I've played Gang Beasts and you were like fighting each other and like knocking each other out.
yeah,
So like, is
it's
it
very much the
literally
same
that,
setup.
but just vet animals?
It's the same setup. The stage I played, I think, because this is the only stage these fucking children chose. It's like a fucking Aztec temple or some bullshit. I don't know, but like, it's like poison gas at the bottom. You don't throw them off of the actual stage, and it's really dumb because they could just climb back up very easily. It's like I don't know. The stage just felt weirdly like not very interesting layout wise. Again, I need to play more. Maybe the other stages are like 10 times better because like that stage was dog shit and it was like 8 players, but like you were forced into teams. It's like I don't want to work with other people. I want pure anarchy. Like it's weird that that's not like an immediate option. Probably something under custom games, but even then, it's just weird that that's not like under the normal matchmaking queue. So yeah, I don't know. Party Animals. That was a game I was really looking forward to too. Again, I'll play more this weekend. Probably grab some.
Don't think it's the same Gang Beast developer.
I looked it up and I could not find. Hold on, do you know who made Gang Beasts?
I don't remember who made Gang Beasts.
Well, I can.
It's like a.
Because if you can tell me who made Gang Beasts, I could tell you who made Party
Animals. Gang Beasts developers Bone Loaf and Coat Sink.
Nope. Party Animals is like Recreate Games and Source Technology.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is just a cheap copy. Okay, these guys
just
suck.
A rip-off.
Well, fucking hell! I swear I thought it was Gang Beasts stuff. Okay.
I left like because I swear you're on to something. So maybe like devs from the Gang Beasts team made their own. I don't know. Because I can't find Recreate Games like anywhere else. Like I don't know what they made.
Yeah, I can't find anything on Recreate. This might be their first game.
They're probably
maybe devs left like Gang Beasts to make this, and they're like, we'll just make our own. I don't know.
I will say I had a choice between playing this and Lies of P. I kind of chose wrong.
Yeah, that's sad.
You've chosen poorly.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'll talk about the last game. I wanted to do kind of like a retrospective of Mario before Mario Wonder comes out because I'm super excited for that game. So I'm gonna play through like all the 2D Mario games. Some of them for the first time, like Mario 2 USA and stuff. So I replayed Super Mario Brothers, the original, the NES game, with save states because the live system is garbage. It's always been a bad mechanic in games. I'll always argue that till the end of time. And but like I tried not to use like rewind or warps, so I wanted to play through every single level. I think the game's aged really well. I had a ton of fun playing through the game. It's just classic Super Mario Brothers. There's not really much wrinkles, crazy things about it. It is a very classic game that's been re-released 1,000 times because it's a good ass game. It is arguably the most influential game of all time, save the video game industry, and I'll always have a mountain of respect for it in that regard. And I just think the game is fun as hell. And I know a lot of people say otherwise, say it hasn't aged well. I don't care. I love the game. I think it's a ton of fun. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. But we mentioned Lies of P earlier. Dark and Fusion, you've both been playing it. I was an idiot and chose Party Animals. So tell me about this Lies of P.
So Lies of P is a Souls-like title that's based off of Pinocchio, if you haven't been up to date with it. And I want to say that this is probably the best like Souls-like copy game that's probably come out ever. Though
Souls game not made by FromSoft.
Yeah, like the Souls-like game does not from software. This is like the best I've seen so far from my experience. There's a deep class system like you would expect. The world and stories like is really in your face and is really immersive and entertaining. The boss designs and the world designs are incredible. That being said, it's really weird for me, and I'm someone who's played every single Souls title available to me besides Bloodborne and Demon Souls. I wasn't able to play this, but it's been out
Monster.
on my console. So I've played them. So I have experienced this. I don't know what it is. I feel like. So the way that this game works is that the story is revealed to you gradually. I'm pretty deep into the game. I'm well over 3/4 into the game. Something was revealed to me, like a big secret, and then since I'm very big into the story, I feel like this is the reason why. I didn't really like the reveal too much, and ever since then, my enjoyment of the game kind of plummeted really deeply. To the point where it's really dragging its feet, it feels like. But this is just a me thing. I know, like, it might be different for everyone else. This is a really good Souls title, though. If you like this genre, I can't recommend it enough.
So what you're saying is you hate the game because you said the story was bad. Oh man, okay.
The story
I'll put
was
this on
good.
Twitter.com.
It's X now. Correct yourself.
Sorry,
The
X.com.
story is really good. Like, even though, like, I'm very picky with stories. Like, for me personally, it's story over gameplay. I'm one of those people. So
I'm
that's
one of those
just why.
people, too.
But
What are you playing games for? Oh man,
For the
I gotta play
stories.
this thing. At that point, watch a
Nope.
movie.
Nope. Some of the best stories of all time are in the video game medium.
No, that's true.
Exactly.
But it's I don't know. Story over gameplay is just a wild ass
But
thing in my
no,
opinion.
because it's also
That's just me.
gameplay can enhance the story.
It can enhance the
You know
story,
what I
but
mean?
then
So,
they
like-
tell the story.
But at the
No,
end of the
okay,
day,
That's
like,
just me.
if I'm sitting down and playing a video game and the story is just absolutely trash, but the gameplay is cool to play, I'm going to have fun, but like I'm not going to be invested in that game. If your
If you want
story
to
is really good,
this, think of Fire Emblem Engage. The gameplay in that game is utterly phenomenal. The story is abysmal, and I don't like the game because of it. I don't care how good your gameplay is. If your story is ass, I'm not gonna like. Unless it's like a fighting game where like the story is like irrelevant. Okay.
this is the most
that's a different story.
insane like hill I've ever seen people die on. It's like-
I don't
I
think
mean,
I think
like, I'm not trying
I
to
think a
convince
lot
other
of
people.
people.
This is
I know.
this is just my
I think
personal.
a lot of people are sitting in the same boat as
no,
us.
okay.
Like, this is why I have no issue watching
like
games
3
that I
other
can't
people. No, okay. Here's my thing. Okay, it's like you play a video game
Greg
and you're
knows.
like frustrated playing the game. Like you're like, oh, well, I want to get to the next cutscene. It's just like at that point, watch a movie. Like I don't get it.
because
Well, they don't have a movie of the game I'm playing, and if they do, it's not gonna be as good.
But it's more like I don't know. There's never been like The Last of Us, for example. The Last of Us, like the combat's not bad, but it's not like anything to write home about. It's not Final Fantasy
Well,
VII
it's good
remake.
enough though. Well, no, it's
That's
good
my
enough.
point. Is
though.
that almost 90% of the games have good enough combat. A lot of the video games don't have good enough
disagree
stories.
there. No, I disagree with that. There is like Outer Worlds is like the perfect example where
I
like
haven't played it.
there was. Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you about it
I
because
played it.
the story and like the actual choices and stuff is really interesting. But that combat, because here's the thing, I'm not looking for like
I wasn't a
10
big
out of
fan
10
of the
peak
story
combat.
though.
I'm looking for serviceable combat, like where I'm not frustrated or annoyed playing the game. Playing that game was so annoying. That's why I stopped playing. Like I beat the game, but like still, it's just one of those things where it's like I feel like my gameplay needs to at least be like good enough for me to like enjoy it.
Kind of go back to what you were
That's
saying
fair.
about Yakuza 0.
Yeah, exactly. Like Yakuza 0 had an amazing story, but that combat was so dog shit. I couldn't get through that game. I
Look,
was
if
so
the game is bad,
frustrated.
as long as the game is playable, if the
I
game
just
is
don't think
bad
the
and
game's
it has a
bad.
phenomenal story, I'll tank through it. I'll take this for the story.
How do you tank through it? Like me, I'm like
because the story's
I'm like
good.
playing. No, the story's not. Just look up all the cutscenes on YouTube. It's just I don't know. It's just a weird
I'll say
thing.
this to you: I've never had a situation where I've hated a combat enough to not finish a game. So like, I just haven't had that experience yet. Like, I've never played a game and been like, this combat's not.
Okay,
You know what I
if you
mean?
want to
Like,
talk about, Redfall's kind of like right there, but that
I
game.
love
You
the-
didn't play it?
Think of all the Far Cry games I play. Like, I love the Far Cry games, and no one's like the Far Cry combat is amazing. like, I don't know.
Wait,
Well, the Far Cry games have serviceable gameplay. Like it's all the shooting is good, the weapons are
I know
good.
I like Far Cry,
so
but a lot of people say like Far Cry doesn't have good like gameplay.
You play Far Cry for the story?
I play Far Cry for the package all together. I just love the Far Cry games.
No,
Far Cry 3
okay,
has one of the best stories I've ever played in a video game.
I guess.
Like the
Yeah,
Far
no,
Cry
that's
story is really
true.
good. Like I don't think I'm saying if you look at my top 10 video game list, 90% of them are going to be are all going to be like narrative. How good was this narrative?
I'm gonna
Yeah,
actually
that's
check
probably
my top
mine. That's probably my list too. If I think about it, it's like a lot.
Look,
Like
that's the
90% is
thing,
gonna
though.
be because it's a really good story.
You're
that's
really
'cause it's
into
an
like
impact-
platformers and stuff, which is like fine, but I feel like a lot of your
You
favorite
say
games of
that
all
in the
time.
most derogatory
No,
way.
I mean
You're
like
into platformers.
I love platformers, but like there's not a platformer in my top 25 because the stories in almost every platformer is just nothing. Like it's barely there. So I just don't like on an emotional level, I'm never going into a platformer and being like, this story really connected with me. So like compared to way Last of Us or I mean true, I haven't. But you know what I mean? It's we're different. In your top 10 games of all time, you have some platformers purely off of the funness of how you're playing the video game.
Because
this is a big reason why RPGs are like main genre I play. Like one of the big reasons, I should say.
Same.
No, okay. Here's my argument. Because 3 of the platformers in my top 10, I like also because of the story.
I mean, yeah, fair.
Which are those 3?
You understand the mindset.
Which good
So, yeah,
platformers have good story?
So now
Okay, what is this derogatory?
those games because of the story have put them up in your top 10. You know what I mean?
No, because it's like the package. Oh shit!
I don't know.
We got him, boys.
We got him.
No. Well, the overall package.
You just want to hate on because it's me. I see how it is.
No. My argument is as simple as I just think it's weird to say I only played this game because of the story. The combat was bad.
I've never, like, but I'm saying I've never played it. I've never done that.
I don't
know
think
that's
a Fire Emblem Engage.
I think combat will carry a bad story.
Game was amazing, but that story was horrendous.
See, to me, like Engage was enjoyable enough because I'm like the combat's fun enough. I can deal with this.
Yeah, same.
Skip all the cutscenes.
Nah, it wasn't the same for me. I need the story, bro. I'm not saying I want a full-blown movie. Like, I want to be able to play something too, but at least give me something to work with, please.
You know what? You would really like the PlayStation games. Believe it or not,
go,
they got
baby!
stories.
We'll get the Xbox in one of these days.
I like some.
That's why
all PlayStation games are bad, but you know. Anyways, going back to Liza P.
Liza P. Yeah.
There was something that was revealed story-wise that really put me off, but besides that, it's really good. I do want to say one thing. When it comes to grinding, this game sucks. Like, it is not an enjoyable experience grinding. But besides that, I do highly recommend everyone give it a chance. You might not share the same opinions as me. That's perfectly fine. I do think this game is worth it. They did an incredible job of it.
You need to grind. Okay. Bad Souls. I think that's just a skill issue.
I mean,
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Granted, I haven't had to grind yet, but I'm also not where Dark's at. I'm a few hours behind him. I think I'm like 2 chapters behind, where I have not run into any situation where I have to grind. But building off of what he said, I think this game is very good, and I would say I haven't played the main Souls games that I've played. Demon Souls, Elden Ring, Dark Souls 3. Like, this is the best Souls-like that's not from FromSoft. I would agree with Dark there. Like they nailed the tone, they nailed the environmental storytelling, which I feel like a lot of non-From Software hasn't gotten. Like they don't do it well. But this game has really they build this world up, and you find like random characters you're talking to, and like random notes, and like random things where the lore is very good, and like the combat is one of the things where I think the combat is like very very good. Like I'm sitting here playing this combat, and I'm like, compared to a lot of other Souls likes. Combats usually they never get the From Software feel, and this is the closest I have felt like a From Software combat system, where I'm like, this could get it's not as good, like it's not 100% there, but it's maybe 85% there, and I'm like, if FromSoft made another game, I could see this being like their combat system. It would just be a little more refined. I think it's a really good game.
In terms of difficulty, if you want something to compare to, this is most similar to Sekiro. That difficulty is definitely up there, and you're forced to play in a way where you can't run around and roll away from. You can't do the slap ass and roll technique from Dark Souls. You have to fight the bosses. You have the perfect guard. It's like that. Very
saying, I barely died in Sekiro, so this looks like it's gonna be an easy game for me.
I don't know how you feel, Dark, but there's been a few bosses already in this game that I genuinely think are harder than every Elden Ring boss I faced.
I agree.
What the fuck?
I agree.
Did you find Millennia?
This goes to my point that
I beat Millennia and Elden Ring.
Oh wow!
I don't know if
think
it's the way this
Elden
combat
Ring's
set up, but
bosses weren't as good as other Dark Souls titles, and this proves that.
All right, well now I'm in. Hang on.
I think you should. I think you would really like Lies of P. I think you're going to get frustrated and mad, and that's the best part about Souls games, where you're just like,
Oh yeah,
This game is not
Like-
afraid to kick your shit in, bro.
yes, and
good.
it
That's
is
what games
very,
are all about.
very, and there's no summon, but there is a well, kind of like a summon. There's a thing if you're struggling hard
Companion.
enough, where like you can spawn in like it's called a specter before the boss fight, and it basically is like a summon from like the Souls games where they can come in and help you fight. They don't do
It
much
uses
anyway,
the
so
boss
like
weapon. They do next to nothing. They're just like a
If you
Yeah.
use summons, I don't believe you as a person.
So,
I'm gonna bully you.
they're not
There
they're
is
not there to
Psychos.
do much anyways.
There is psychos, and I do highly recommend going out your way to find and do the psychos, but they're really entertaining, and the characters that you meet are really like fun to mess around with.
Yeah, and they have a good balance of the main stories like up in your face, and it's not as hard to follow as a From game. But like the side
They
quests
actually tell
are
you the
like
story.
yeah, and then like the side quests are like From games where like you'll meet someone in the world, and then they'll give you like, hey, could you go get this for me? Can this happen? Blah blah. And then if you're just, they don't tell you where it's at. You just like, or
Tell
they'll
you
give you
where
hints
there's a
on like where it's
person.
at.
They give you a hint, but they tell you if there's a person that like they want something or you can talk to them. When you go to a Stargazer, which is like the bonfire, like where you teleport and all that, they'll have a little marker there, like where they're located.
Yeah, they do have
letting
that.
you know,
They have
hey, you
like
can go talk
quality
to
of life
them.
features.
Yeah.
But like they do, I don't know, I just think I'm not gonna say too much on like, because I'm only like 8 or 9 hours in, but like I'm very happy with what I'm
Wait,
playing
you're only
right now.
8
And
or
I
9?
can
You're
understand.
fucking far as shit for 8 or 9. I'm like almost 20 hours in. What the fuck?
I
Oh,
don't know what
speedrunning.
to tell you.
Bro, you
I don't
let's
know
Are
talk
you
what to
about
tell
mainlining
it.
it?
Bro, is
Are you doing
No.
side stuff?
Yeah, I'm doing side stuff, and the game's like
damn.
linear. Like you can't even
you're
like.
not even that far behind from me, bro.
I mean, that's why I said I don't know how this game's apparently 25. Granted, I can count the amount of deaths I have on one hand, and I still think it's very difficult. Like a very difficult
Whoa!
game.
Whoa, bro
Fuck,
said
bro.
he's a gamer.
No,
Hang on.
I could see like if Souls games are all the type where like you can add another 30 hours for just being not great at the game. Like that's
True.
that's how the
True.
game works. You know what I mean? Like so, I don't know.
Something I
I'm
want to
liking
add
my
to.
build I've made right now. So
And this was really an issue with Elden Ring. There's a lot of none of the bosses in this game feel cheap or unfair. If you die, it's because you just suck at the fucking game. Like there's nothing like where a boss will
Wow.
purposely play a frame to hit you, like in Elden Ring. I know that was a big issue with that. They don't do that here.
and
Interesting.
they're very aggressive, and there's a lot of delayed hits. Like the enemies will hit you with like a, you think you're going to block now, you should have blocked 14 seconds later, and then next thing you know you're hit. So it's hard. It's not an easy video game.
That is exciting.
I think you would really like it though. I don't know why you haven't started it yet. I know you were on New
Well,
Vegas.
I was on
but-
New Vegas. Yeah,
Here's
come on.
Vegas.
Party animals, though.
Yeah, party
I-
animals. Like
okay,
should have
okay.
no.
Let me explain myself. I had
Get
an
scared,
hour
that's what it
before I had to. No. I had an hour before I had to go to work. So I'm like, okay, I'll play Liza. I would want to start Liza P, but like I'm not gonna get invested.
Yeah,
So
I
I
feel
decided
that.
to play
I
Party
feel that.
Animals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He
that's
doesn't
fine.
want to be a real boy.
I'll play. I'm gonna start it tomorrow. I'm
Are
definitely
you
gonna start
buying it or getting it on Game Pass?
Game Pass.
Oh
Come
my
on, man. I think
God.
I don't
don't-
have a lot of money right now. I
I
gotta
don't
get
know.
on Game
I don't
Pass.
know you, bro. I don't know.
But dude, okay, listen.
I wanna
It's
say,
on Game.
for a game like this,
you.
I do like that it's on Game Pass, but look, if you're not good at
It'll give
games,
people the shot.
I don't know how you're beating this game.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree that this is like a perfect game for like.
There is
Because a
no
lot
way
of
you're
people.
beating this game if you suck.
Yes, a
This
lot
game
of
is
people
not
would put this
for
game down.
casual.
I know you're all
Dark
talking
should have
about
said
me.
skill issue.
No, I'm not talking
No.
about you, Moon, but like just like
I'm
So-
not you. We saw your demo gameplay. You only died a few times. Like it's okay. We just posted
No,
it.
it's-
highly recommend.
Yeah, he posted that. I was like, what? Wow, Moon was complaining a lot for like only dying this many times. So surprised.
I'll see how I feel in a couple of days. I might drop it because for me it's been dragging its feet, and I'm like 20.
Just
I know I'm close
finish
to the
it.
end.
You're that close to the end.
He might not be
I
that
don't
close.
know.
yeah.
No, I'm. Well, yeah, it depends. I'm a couple of chapters away from the end, but yeah.
Is your Are you going off of? Is your
So I
18
just-
hours or whatever you
the
have
Stargazer.
your in-game timer,
Yeah, I went off the.
or is that
in-game
your
timer.
Xbox timer? Okay,
Not
that's
in-game
I don't know. Mine's
Oh, the Xbox time is wrong.
And the in-game
Because
the
timer
same
is
with
in-game
PlayStation
15
time.
hours and
My
like
in-game
something.
I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know what I've been doing different. than you.
Yeah, good. I'll go check your
Bro's
in-game
fucking
timer
zooming.
then.
My
Wait, you're
in-game
not-
timer
But
9 hours.
Oh,
So they
your
tell you
in-game
the-
timer. That's weird.
they tell you how many the chapters. There's 11 chapters in total. I googled it. I'm on chapter 8 right now. So, and I'm fighting the chapter 8 boss. So I'm really in chapter 9.
And I'm on chapter 6.
Spoiled the amount of chapters. Oh my god. Oh
That
my
is true.
god.
But yeah, that's
Well,
my
that's
repeat.
exciting. I mean, it's the Bloodborne game I wanted. I'm excited for it. Dark, you've also been playing through a trilogy of games over here. Jesus
I
Christ.
did the entire series of Bioshock.
No, you
Bioshock
didn't
has
do the
always been
entire
on
series.
sale.
There was a mobile
I
game.
missed
Hang on, I'm gonna check now.
Is there actually? So
I think there
Bioshock
was. Hang
was
on.
something on my radar because of like the entire trilogy, the collection's always for $10. And then I seen it, I was like, you know what, it's time to pull the trigger. And I always wanted to get into it, so I went through it. The world and atmosphere of Bioshock is really hard to describe other than like phenomenal. I haven't seen the game really like have a unique vision like this in a long time. So Bioshock 1 and 2 is set in an underwater utopia. And then Bioshock Infinite, like you at the sky and such. I really enjoyed the story of Bioshock 1 without getting into spoilers or anything. The game itself is super rough around it. It did not age, in my opinion. It's super rough around the edges.
Wrong.
Getting into Bioshock 2, it's a lot. It feels like a glorified expansion of 1, but they add enough features where it feels fresh and I'll rate it a little bit higher than Bioshock 1. But Bioshock Infinite, this game, I don't know what it is. It just hit in all of the right places. The gunplay feels incredible. The story is super unique and so different from what you see in games nowadays. I know the ending is controversial, but if you can, besides that, or if you like, can actually understand what the game is trying to say, you have an amazing time with it. This is probably gonna break my top 10. I would rate it that high. This is with the DLC included, so I feel really like
Look at you.
mad that I skipped out on this fucking game. It's just Infinite by itself. If you don't like the other games, that's fine. I highly recommend Infinite. I feel like everyone here would enjoy it.
I've been part of the Infinite fan club since it came out, so yes.
Yeah, bro's trying to sell it on the original Infinite fan.
I was there in the trenches during its marketing.
I just want to say the disrespect towards Bioshock 1. I played that game up until the final door. I don't know why I didn't. I literally had to open the door and the game was done. Okay, but I basically beat the game. I was literally at the last door. The only thing I haven't seen is the ending.
The final boss.
There's a oh my god! Oh, the final boss. Well, that's gonna change my opinion on that game.
Final boss sucked, by the way. That's side tangent.
Listen. Bioshock 1 is fucking awesome. I still think that game was great when I played it.
And story itself.
Maybe that final door. Maybe the final door I open it, I'm like, oh wait, this game's awful. But like, I don't know. Like when I played it, I genuinely really loved it.
I mean, what was the last time you played it?
When it launched. I don't replay games, remember? I've been meaning to. When the collection came out on PlayStation, when the collection came out on PlayStation 4, I started Infinite. I got maybe an hour or two in, and then I'm just like, I can't do this.
What about you,
bro?
When was
Moon, he said. I just want to point out, Dark said, not you. Like, fuck me, damn. Like, that's your co-host,
I thought he said me.
bro.
Okay, never mind then.
No, he was mean to you, bro. When was the last time I played? Well, it was on PC, so it must have been I don't know, I think like 2019.
Wait, are you
but
a
also,
PC gamer?
No, it was like, okay, there was a time where like I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get into PC games, and then I played like Mass Effect 2, Bioshock 1 on there, and that was when I realized like, man, I fucking hate this. So like I just stopped. But like I don't know, I want to go back and play it on like a real system.
It's old enough. It's like at that point where it's like it's at the edge of like reaching oblivion levels of unreplayable for me. But like it's just playable enough. And it's super chaotic. I was expecting more like car based. It is a chaotic as fuck series. You're doing a lot of shit at once.
You gotta remember. You gotta remember also, like I was literally just talking about playing Mario 1 and how that aged well. So like my scale for like how well a game's aged is different.
Yeah.
But
Like,
the
yeah.
story
being
was good
honest,
enough for
if you were to
Bioshock
go
1
and
for
try
you
to,
to continue, huh?
if you were to go to try to play Bioshock 1, I don't know if you'd be able to finish it. I
Wait,
wouldn't
hang on,
blame
hang on,
Well,
hang on. What is Fusion
It is
saying here?
rough.
Wait, Fusion,
I'm
I want you to
saying
repeat what you just said.
I'm saying Dark thought the game wasn't that great to play, but the story was good enough to keep him
No,
going.
It
no,
was.
that's him
Bioshock
being
was
weird
great
though.
too.
That's him being weird though.
How is
Real
it
gamers
being
don't
weird?
do that. No, the gameplay in Bioshock 1 is great. I remember it being really fun.
Okay.
Also, I'm going to play on PC, so if it was ever like if any of these games are ever bad, I'm going to have a million mods to make them like play better. So
Oh my god.
I-
What a poor
Bioshock
man.
Infinite changed a lot of the gameplay, like little tweaks that made it so much more like unique and immersive. Where you were forced to, because in Bioshock 1 and 2, you had everything. You had like your whole fucking inventory. Bioshock Infinite makes it so you can only have 2 weapons, and that makes it so you're constantly swapping weapons on the fly, and you get to try out these other weapons. Because in Bioshock 1 and 2, I had just 3 weapons that I was good with, and that was it. That's why I used the entire game.
You gotta use all your arsenal. That's what I did. Like I don't know, Bioshock. I like the idea of like all the different weapons. Bioshock 1's a great game. You guys should all.
I
play
like the idea of all different weapons, but I feel like Infinite handled it a lot better, where it felt more organic, and the gunplay in that game is phenomenal. Elizabeth is one of the best characters I've seen in video games, and I can say that firmly.
Preach. That's what I've been saying for years.
Look, I think it was the completionist who said this, and I didn't really understand what he meant until you play the game. But he said people will play this game for the gameplay itself, but people will stay for Elizabeth. That statement is 100% factual. She is incredible.
Mm,
They
Is it as
cooked.
good as Bioshock 1's famous character, Big Daddy?
That's not even a character, bro. It's an enemy type.
What?
Dark.
Big Daddy is a character to me. Wait, hang on. And knowing Dark, you're not a monster. You didn't sacrifice the little sisters, right?
No,
Okay.
I
Good.
got the good ending.
If you harvested the little sisters,
They
I
gave
don't.
me
I
an
would not.
option to kill a little child. I'm like, I don't know what you expect me to do here. I'm not killing the child.
I would have just stopped talking to you. That would have been. That would have
I
been the
went
last straw.
50-50.
I think I'm not sure how true this is, but I heard that if you even kill one child, you get the bad ending. I'm glad I didn't kill any of them.
We're just casually dropping it. Yeah, I killed like half the kids.
I needed the Atom.
No,
I
you
didn't
didn't.
collect
You
all.
get more than enough, Adam. What?
You
Oh,
get
it's so bad.
I didn't collect them all
Because-
because fighting the big daddy is a fucking pain in the ass. But you know, besides that,
Oh, I love them. They're
highly
so
recommend the
fucking
series. Just give it a shot if you've been waiting on it.
Yeah,
It's
so
fun to go through
Fusion's
that.
gonna play it on PC with mods.
As you should.
It's not the intended experience.
Oh, but you said that a sprinting mod would have improved your
Well,
New
it's like a
Vegas
little.
experience.
No, okay.
That's what I
Here's the
mean. I'm not
difference.
going into the game and modding it to death. I would talk about
Yeah,
like
you
Bioshock
tracking
just
1
said
and
like
how
a
to-
billion
deserves a remake.
mods.
If you were to get a remake and they tweak it, it'll be incredible.
That was an exaggeration. I would never mod a game to where like it's not the game. I'm talking about like if I can't
I'm just
sprint
giving you
in your
shit.
game from 2008, I'm allowing myself to sprint. Like I'm just not.
Yeah,
You
no,
can't sprint in
I'm just
Bioshock
giving
1.
you shit.
Yeah,
I don't
will
think
be
you can.
sprinting.
I don't. No.
No, there's a sprint button. You're a liar.
I think
I know for
You're
a
a
fact there's
liar.
I think Sprint
I
came in
played the game 5 years ago. I think I would know.
Bro, I played through them all like in 2 days. With all the DLC too. The DLC, okay, that's what it is. They have like DLC
okay.
expansions. The whole expansion is like 2 hours long. Why?
That's good.
Granted,
One
they
of them, yeah.
fit a whole lot of story inside that 2 hours, but like, what the fuck?
That's short and sweet. I like it like that.
Yeah.
Man, you have a lot of stuff. Maybe I should have had you go earlier because you have a lot of stuff to talk about here. So
Not really. It's just saying I spent a day just cleaning up stuff because I didn't realize how many games I was so close to finishing. I'm like, oh, I actually beat him. But the big one was Sea of Stars. Finally got around to beating that, and I really liked it. It's probably gonna end up in my top 5 just because I'm starting to realize just how few games I'm actually playing. Granted, we have a lot of October, November stuff coming out, so it might fall out of my top
that's where
5
it's
just
gonna be
because of
huge.
that. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's like, I think I said this before, but there's like a comfort in its simplicity in both the combat and the story. It's like it's a lot more of that less is more kind of deal. Besides that, I finished the Pokemon DLC. I don't fully agree with Bop's assessment of it, at least with the story. I don't know if it's a downgrade story-wise. it's definitely a downgrade technical wise, or at least it's as bad as the original game. I think it's probably technically worse because you have a very small island this time with only one city, but barely a city. It's like a community center, 4 houses, and a store. And can barely handle that. And it's just a large barren wasteland for the rest of the island. And yet it still can't
$1 billion
run.
company.
Story wise, though, I don't see where Bob's going. Granted, Bob and I are both on the same wavelength that Scarlet and Violet probably has the best story of any Pokemon game. So maybe it's just bad by comparison, because when you compare something to the best, it's always going to come out worse. But the story is decent for what it is. It's supposed to be this little not standoff, but like standalone story, just of you going off on a trip to a remote island and you meet the locals, hear their urban legend, partake in the urban legend. It was neat. Like, it's nothing mind blowing or anything, but it's a fun time story wise. At least the new characters you get are fun. I do like with this story, it is obviously a 2-parter, whereas the DLC of Sword and Shield were completely separate from one another. They were 2 separate adventures, whereas this is clearly a part 1, part 2 kind of ordeal, because in the art that you see for part 2 is the same characters from part 1, and they even talk about it in this game where it's like, yeah, you're going to come to our school, right? And you're going to participate in this little competition. And they're like, well, yeah, well, there's the story for part 2 for you. So story-wise, it's cool. It's like I said, nothing mind-blowing, but it's a fun time. I just wish this game just ran well. Then I finally finished up Proteus. I didn't realize I was like on the last like 2 or 3 levels of that. If you want a old school Doom boomer shooter, I definitely recommend that. It's a great time if you just want to just turn off your brain and shoot a bunch of things. My biggest complaint, though, was the map and trying to figure your way around. Like, I was lost a lot of the time, but maybe that's just me. I get lost very easily. Just wandering around trying to find, because you get to all these gates and they're like, you need a green card, you need a yellow card, you need a red card to get through this gate. And we're like, where's this damn card? So now you got to go wander around trying to find these cards. But besides that, the combat's great. I have no idea what was going on in the story. I just loaded up a level. It told me to shoot things. I shot things.
Yeah, see, a game you enjoyed without the story. Look at that.
Mhm.
You know, shocker. It exists. I'm just saying.
Oh, I'm gonna hurt you. No, like I've played.
Wolf's just a hater. That's all it is.
I'm
I'm not a hater. I'm just
no,
saying.
no.
He's like,
When
how
I
dare
play
you not enjoy
Mario,
the game the way I play it?
I enjoy Mario because I know I'm not getting a story out of Mario. But if I'm going into a Mario, for example, and it's supposed to have a story, and the story is bad, your game is now worse. That's
Yeah,
my
it
point.
really depends on the game.
Yeah,
and
no,
what
that's
it's trying
true.
to
The
be
game
promised.
is now worse.
The reason why Super Mario Galaxy solos is because Rosalina is the only fucking princess who does shit. They were cooking, bro.
No. Here's the thing. I agree with that assessment that like a game's like if it's a story-based game, like I don't know, Last of Us. If Last of Us didn't have a good story, it wouldn't be considered a very good game because it's very like story is very much a part of the gameplay experience. The part you're losing me is where it's like, well, I value the story over the gameplay. It's like that is where you lose me.
Yeah, I value the story of these characters and this
Granted, if
world
it's a game
over
like-
me just shooting endless humans.
If it's a game like Doom or like
No,
fighting where the story's abysmal, that's different, of course. But if it's a game that has a story that they want you to pay attention to, yeah. Here
Yes,
for the
no,
story.
that's true. I'm just saying, like, saying you play games for story, I feel like is a wild
So
statement.
all I do is play JRPGs, man. That's a
Yeah,
big
if it's an
Okay, yeah, no,
RPG, if it's an RPG or JRPG, story definitely has to grab me.
Yeah, of course. Like that's understandable. I just think it's like the statement I play games only for story. Like, that's where I play games for. The gameplay
my enjoyment
doesn't
from
matter at
stories.
all.
It's like, that's where it is.
I don't know.
Bro, I'm literally built different than you, bro. That's how it is.
No, don't let this. Don't. I'm not giving you your ego boost over here. All right.
Not having an ego boost, we're
Anyway.
literally different people, bro. But instead of factual.
Okay. You do your infactual things. Moon, continue.
Then I finished up the Xenoblade DLC. I honestly don't know what to think about it. I need to watch some YouTube videos recapping
Say it's
everything.
bad. Say it's bad.
I won't say it's bad. It's
We can
definitely.
have a conversation.
I'm kidding.
The combat was a definite downgrade from the main game. Like they stripped away some things that made it less interesting to me than the original game's combat, which I love 3's combat. But yeah, I'll have to think about what I think about the DLC.
Yeah, let it just sleep for a minute. I'll give it some time to
Get
rest.
the
and
marinade
then-
a
I
little
get
bit.
that. Yeah,
And
there's a
then
lot of games that do that for me.
And then a game that I just started just because it's leaving Game Pass, Beacon Pines, which is a visual novel like puzzle kind of game. I love the art so far, like all the art of the characters, and it has a fun decision making gameplay where you have to make a choice in a conversation depending on which charms you found in the world. Like if you go around clicking on everything, you might find charms that gives you more options of how you just act in a conversation, which is kind of neat. And they give you the ability very early on in the game to go back to certain conversations and change your choices, and that will affect things later on. So I'm curious to see how far they take this. It's only about a 4 to 5 hour game, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. So I'll probably finish that in the next day or so. It's cute, and it's definitely more mature than I thought it would be.
Oh, look at you!
Like
Playing mature
well-
visual novels.
Well, it's more mature, like in this fact of one of the first early on choices that you can make is you're talking to your friend's older sister and you're trying to like calm her
Abuse?
down of like a.
Oh,
What's going on? You
I'll let you finish. I'll let you
guys,
finish.
you guys are going in chat. But a choice that you can make with your friend's sister to like convince her to let your friend and you go off into the woods to do stuff is to be like, "Don't worry, we'll be all right." And then you go that option goes horribly for you, so you go back in time to the conversation with the sister, and literally the option is you got to act like a little shit. And so you act like a little shit and you kick the sister in the shin and you make a run for it. So
Well,
I'm curious where they take this story and the character, just because I'm like, oh, okay, so you're not afraid to do the weird stuff too.
Did you say it came out last year?
I think it came out earlier this year, and it's on Game Pass, and it's leaving at the end of the month, so I'm playing it right now.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll let you guys know next week. Stay tuned.
That's
I looked up
interesting.
no, I like the art. Like
Yeah, the art is
style.
really cool, and if the title screen that you see when you Google the game actually doesn't do the actual in-game art justice. Like, there's a lot more detail. Like, whoever they got as their character artist like knows what's up. They went ham on these character portraits.
Do you know who made it?
No, I don't know anything. It's some small indie developer.
Hiding Spot. Hiding Spot Games.
Oh, Hiding Spot. Yeah, it's like now that you say that, I remember whenever I boot up the game, it's like, oh yeah, that's their company name. But yeah. So are we all done?
Yeah, it looks like we're all done. I mean, we had a lot of arguments this episode, it feels. But
Yeah, that's what the
I
people
think we're
come
ready to
for.
head out.
Doesn't like stories. That's all I mean.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying. Whatever. You heard my take. If people actually
Story
listen,
hater.
they know what I. No,
Yeah, they know you hate
story
stories.
is very. My favorite game of all time has a story that I love, but it also has gameplay that I love. It's not. I'm not going to put a game in my top 10 where the gameplay is dog shit, but man, that story was something else. Like, no, I would never do that shit.
I don't think we would either.
Yeah, I don't. I think all your
think
top. I think that's the thing is, though, is to make something
I'm
into
just
your
saying,
top
yeah.
games, it has to do both.
We're agreeing on what
Yeah.
like if your top 25 games, they're going to have both like the package deal.
Yeah.
Like we're
Yeah,
all
exactly.
You can still like a game for like having bad gameplay or mediocre gameplay, but you really like the story. Like, that's perfectly fine to like a game like that,
think
but
of like
not to be in your top games.
Bro,
Think of
heard
all
me
the
say a
visual
take. He was
novels.
like, hold up, we can't have this.
all the
No, 'cause
visual
it doesn't make
novels
sense.
Moon plays, or like the Telltale games, or the Life is
Well, that's a
Strange
story
games.
game.
Exactly.
Well,
dude,
Well, that's
and those are some
purely
of
a
the-
story game. That's what that game is made for.
and there's
to
some
tell a
games like
story.
Mario that's purely for gameplay. That's my point.
Yeah,
Look,
no,
they
that's
even
my
want those
point. But
gameplay kind of
I'm
ass, but I fucking love those games.
no. But here's the thing. What I'm saying is, if your game is a shooter for maybe not a shooter, those are always like at least serviceable enough. An RPG, and the story is phenomenal, but the gameplay is dog shit, and like you are actively not having fun. You don't want to play the game anymore when you get into the gameplay segments. Is that still a good game? Because the gameplay is still really bad.
I'll let you know if I ever get to that game.
All right,
because I've
well,
never
you
gotten
talk
there.
to me when you can. That
Well, I mean,
fabled
Wolf's already
game.
gone there because they keep saying the same thing about Yakuza 0.
Yakuza 0. Yeah, exactly. Like,
But then he beat Yakuza 0, did you not?
I didn't beat it because the gameplay was bad. Like, I can't
Oh.
necessarily say the game is good or bad because I never like really beat it, so I can't give a
Wasn't good
definitive
enough.
opinion.
That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. It wasn't good enough. The story was phenomenal, but the gameplay was so dog shit that I didn't want to like. I didn't care anymore. I was so frustrated by how bad the gameplay was.
Mm.
Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Take us out of here.
I will also add just on that real quick that it's kind of the same with Sea of Stars. Like, even though the gameplay isn't bad, it just got repetitive.
Yeah, it got repetitive. You get into a groove really early on.
So it's just, I guess that's the real question is like, if a game is just really repetitive and monotonous, is that as bad as just bad gameplay? But thankfully, Sea of Stars isn't that long, so it's not like it's overstaying its welcome.
Well, my thing is that it's serviceable enough, though.
Yeah, it's serviceable, definitely.
But I think my thing is, a lot of games are serviceable. There's not many video games out there that are just bad gameplay. I haven't experienced one.
There's a
And
lot of.
I've played hundreds of video
Yeah, I
games.
haven't played enough games.
There's not a single game off the top of mind where I'm like, that gameplay was so bad I had to drop it. I can't think of
That
a
is
single one.
insane. No, you
Redfall.
you forgot.
Fusion got that lucky selection.
You did
Yeah,
not play
really.
Redfall, bro. You was not there.
I wasn't there for Redfall, yeah.
Well,
Fusion just makes
everything
good choices. That's what.
It seems like you guys are just playing, like you're picking up random bad video games and saying this game's bad.
Well, we didn't.
No.
Well, here's the thing. We didn't know. We played it on launch. We wanted to see what it was about. You know, we gave it a fair
Redfall
chance.
story is also not good, is it? So,
No, it's not.
It's the
it's bad.
Is there a story? I don't know.
It's vampires taking
There-
over.
there were. There was.
All right. Well, leave
We
your
gotta get
thoughts
out of
on story versus gameplay in the comments below. That's how we'll tie all this up.
Team
So I
Dark
hope you
versus
guys
Team
enjoyed
Wolf.
this.
Here we go.
You don't have your team name. It's team. No, it's team like everyone else. versus me. I'm fighting the
was
fucking
my
world
take.
on this stupid take.
But see,
No,
both of you said I'm against me. It's just
No,
me,
you
bro.
can't. No,
I'm
no, 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 no,
talking-
no. You can't. No. Because Fusion agrees right with you. You can't just say, "Well, it's my take now." Like, motherfucker, a lot of people have that take apparently. No. You can't say it's dark. Team Dark. Just say it's team. I don't know, fucking weirdos who like
Whatever
story over
clicks, bro.
gameplay, and then I'm team cool people who actually like games for what
Team
they
correct
are.
versus team wrong and move on.
Exactly. Boom.
We're the correct ones.
No, I'm the correct
We're on the
one.
right side of
I am on the
history.
right side of history. I am
said it
Mr.
first.
New Vegas. No,
What New Vegas does to
you are
people.
not the first person. You are not the first person in the world who has ever said
Anyway, guys, I
I'm
hope
just
you guys
saying.
had a good time watching this. And this Tom Taylor.
So make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe on all of our platforms, and be sure to tune in next week for the big episode 20, 4 months of doing this nonsense. Thank you all for the journey if you've been with us for that. But we'll see you guys next week on the next episode. Have a good night.
Play some more of the video games.
Team correct. Team gameplay, baby.
Team correct.